did bring my meetings in case people need to see more.
Good morning, and welcome to the third mutual board meeting. We have a quorum. Actually, we have the entire board here, so that is excellent. Thank you. So I would like to call this meeting to order. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance from our wonderful first Vice President, Director James Tung.
Okay, please follow us. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
I see the media present. I would like to have approval of the agenda. So do we have a motion? A second?
I second.
Any comments? Yes, John.
I'm not sure if I need to remove this from the consent calendar, but I do want to discuss it in detail and not approve it. It's 15C, excuse me, it's 7C, 5241 Elvira. It's 7C, and the address is 5241 Elvira. It's a tree removal.
Okay, we can remove that from the consent calendar and have it as an item for discussion. And
Good, thank you.
where would that go?
It's on, apparently we're going to discuss it on number 15, on item
Okay.
15.
This item.
So 5241 is now going to go as an item.
15.
We're going to discuss it under landscape? Does that work?
Yes, it's a tree issue.
We could do that.
Okay, so we're going to move that to 15A.
Yeah.
Okay? Is there anything else? Okay, so do I have a motion to approve the amended agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor of the amended agenda? Bunny, did you raise your hand? Bunny, did you raise your? I didn't know. I didn't know if you were just, I know Bunny has had a very bad cold, so she.
Just
so
had surgery, right?
I know. So in any case, so then we have to go back to approve the original agenda. Is it, so,
I so move.
second?
I second.
All right, all those in favor? Okay, Bunny raised her hand too, so that's good. Okay, my chair's report. Things are really exciting and very positive in third. We're getting a lot of things done, and you will be getting updates from the various board members because they work so hard. I don't want to steal their thunder. We have had a lot of changes in our needs with the new management company and with our tremendously improved security. So because of these different needs, we have had to change our legal counsel. With the help of Brad, we interviewed in quite a number of firms. We had an interview committee, and we have hired the law firm of, how could I forget here because I have the card? Swedelson and Gottlieb. Our person who we're working with very closely is Sandra Gottlieb. She did not join this meeting, so she's so busy catching up. Generally, we would not have our counsel at the open meeting, but she does want to join one. I told her, we'll just give you a tape. But she will be at our closed meeting today to work closely with the board, so we're very excited about that. And one last thing is, before we start the meeting, elections are going to be coming up soon. And being on the board is very exciting and rewarding, right? Right, everybody? Oh, yeah, look at everyone shaking their head. Okay, so please, if you have the commitment to the community and you have a little extra time, please, notice I said little and somebody raised their eyebrows, please consider running for the board. Thank you. Oh, yes, Bert.
Yes, and as a preamble to that, there are committees that meet, and they are always looking for advisors. If you feel that you have some background in any one of the areas that the committees are looking at, you can join us, contribute, okay, and make it a very positive move for the community. Thank you.
Okay, so we will now go to the approval of the minutes. This is for the minutes for the regular open session from March 21st. Do we have a motion? Yes. All right, second?
I amend. Motion to amend.
Well, we need,
correct.
we need a second,
Oh, okay.
and then you could do whatever you want. So you make a second, and then you want to amend.
So I'll make a second, and then I want to amend.
Okay, and what is that? These are the
Agenda item.
No, it's not, the agenda's done, these are the
Right,
minutes.
no. On
The minutes have the agenda in it.
item 6 is the one I'm looking at, I guess.
Item 6 from the minutes,
From the minutes.
what page is that?
Thought I had written it down.
Item 6A you're talking about?
Thank you, Bill.
The problem there is that it refers to Steve Leonard as a director.
Okay,
He is an advisor, not a director. So that
Okay.
should be corrected.
all right. we have
Twice,
that?
done twice.
Okay, do we have that correction?
I don't see where we're at.
Yeah.
Was that
What page?
the resolution that you're referring to, Frank?
Where is it?
I wrote the page,
Page 5 of
yeah.
6A, page 5, is that what you're looking at?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think, because
it.
we're not changing the context of the minutes, and all we're doing is looking for a correction to a name, we can approve this, and then Leslie will find it and correct them. Does that work?
I have another administrative thing.
Wait, let's get that, so we agree on that? That works? Okay. And yes?
Okay, on item 6A, page 16 of 65, in the middle of the page, where it says Director Baum made a motion, seconded by Director Parsons to approve the drone policy, and seconded by Director Parsons. I think that
We
last should be
said it
taken out.
twice.
Yeah,
Okay, so we were, okay.
that's all.
All right. So now we have we have the minutes with 2 minor editorial corrections. So do we have a motion? Do we have anything else before I move on? Bill looks like he's ready to say something, so I'm getting scared. Okay, so all those, so do we have a motion to approve the amended minutes?
So move.
Second?
I don't know what he even said.
Okay, we have a second. Bert Baum seconded it. All those in favor of the, all right. So then we have to, so did you get that, Leslie?
No, I'll get it.
Tell Brad to leave you alone. He's disturbing you while you're supposed to concentrate. We're going to have to put you somewhere else.
I'm helping.
No, you're obviously not. We have a little gun seat for you. Okay, so did you see who made the motion and who seconded it? Okay.
I made it.
Steve made the motion. It was seconded by Bert Baum. So now we said all those in favor, and everybody, can we raise our hands again so we give her? All right, everyone approved it, okay. So now we have to go back to the original motion to approve the minutes. We have a motion for that?
So move.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Okay, so we are all done. So now we can move over to the consent calendar. Do we have a motion? You can note on the consent calendar, I would like you to note that there are just 2 items on the consent calendar. There were a number of other items on the consent calendar that had to do with the utilization of common area, which is also always something of tremendous concern. So all of those items are removed to be discussed with our legal counsel before we approve them. So the 2 items on the consent calendar are the ones that appear on this page. So do we have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I move.
James, and seconded by Bert Moldau. All those in favor? Okay, got that, Leslie? All right. And you also did note that on the consent calendar, we moved that 5241, just to remind everyone. Okay, so now we are ready for our update from VMS by Marcy Scheinwald.
Good morning, everybody. I'm really glad to be here this morning. I actually feel more comfortable in my role as a VMS representative since I've been doing it for a few more months. As many of you know, the purpose of the VMS board is to provide oversight to management and employees. And in that regard, when VMS started early, and Steve may be able to provide more enlightenment, it developed a strategic plan with 5 goals. The first was exemplary customer service. The second was efficient operations. The third was a safe community. The fourth was transparent communications. And the fifth was to become an employer of choice. Am I not? Oh, you talking? Okay. Tomorrow, the VMS board will be meeting with staff to update its strategic plan. But what I wanted to do today was to briefly show some progress in relation to each of the 5 goals. With regard to the first, exemplary service, I really am a slow learner.
Not you.
Oh, then I feel better. Should I keep talking, or what should I do? Not yet?
Well, you could sing, but no one will hear you.
Well,
And that would be good. That might be.
Maybe she can dance. We can see her.
All right. Well, we can see you dancing, though.
I don't think I do that well either.
Oh.
Okay. No, it's okay. With regard to exemplary service, I've recently been informed that Brad's office has received some emails indicating appreciation. One, for example, was received from Patricia Cassidy in the 5490 building, who expressed her appreciation for the work done by the painting crew. She thought they were professional. They kept the residents informed of each step of the project. And she also made a very personal statement of appreciation for the lifeguard contract and for the AEDs placed at the pools, because she was the one whose life was saved in January. We also, or Brad's office has received an email from the Northrops on Via Mariposa, who had a slab leak. And again, they expressed their appreciation for the staff, and the staff even went a step beyond. They moved the washer and dryer, and they even hooked it back up again after the slab leak was repaired. The VMS board would also like to pass on kudos to the alterations division, which has been somewhat short-staffed, but they're really trying to step up and meet demand. It's my understanding that they've developed templates for letters, the standard letters of approval, and the statement of conditions for approval for variances. They're also coordinating with the city to try to determine where the process can be expedited for the 2 permits that are needed. County staff is working on applications material, and they've actually developed an important flyer to inform residents that they are not permitted to leave construction debris in the village trash dumpsters and containers. I understand they're also working with the Architectural Committee for third on alternatives to wood, such as vinyl and aluminum products. With regard to our second goal, efficient operations, I think everybody is aware that we now have Dwelling Live. You can go online on your smartphone, on your desktop computer, and you can arrange for guests to come in without having to make the call. It's my understanding that we get about 400,000 calls a year for guest entry, and it's hope with Dwelling Live we can reduce that number by approximately 100,000, which would definitely be a step towards greater efficiency. With regard to a safe community, our third goal, I'm sure many of you are aware that 20,000 ID cards, I think from the dark ages of Laguna Woods Village, have been deactivated. And that was an effort to make sure that entry to the community and use of the facilities was by people who should legitimately be here. The VMS board also wants to give special kudos to Michael Partain and Michael Carey in Human Resources, because to date they've offered 7 CPR and AED and first aid classes, and I've been informed that 378 village employees are now certified, with approximately another 500 to be completed by October of this year. We all read the Globe last week with the second life that was saved with CPR, and we know how important this training is. With regard to transparent communication, we all now get the Village Breeze. I know more about Laguna Woods Village than I ever knew before. And we get the weekly e-blast. There's also a new brochure for TV6, and there's a new version of the Easy Rider to assist residents in using the bus system. The final goal is becoming an employer of choice. As previously reported, VMS undertook a pay scale study and found that we were in line with surrounding communities. We have also recently received, because this was an issue that was near and dear to us, a proposal from Human Resources for succession and cross-training of staff. And tomorrow, when we meet during the strategic planning meeting, this is a topic that we will be discussing with department heads. Further, Human Resources also presented the first phase of an employee benefits study. It's only the first part, and we did find that we were in line on such items as vacation, sick leave, jury duty, though some of the local municipalities give unlimited jury duty. That was the one variation. We were in line with most, with 10 days. Finally, VMS staff has met with council about the union contract, and it is targeted for a new contract for November 2018. In the weeks ahead, as I've indicated, we will be updating the strategic plan. We will be looking at succession and cross-training. And at our meetings now monthly, we are meeting with individual department heads, and it is our hope that we can continue to keep you informed of our progress. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marcy. Okay. The next is the report of the CEO, Bradley Hudson. I was going to skip that, but I decided not to.
Well, I've probably said enough for this week already. Anyway, thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to be here before the third board and the third community. It's an exciting time, a lot of wonderful things happening. I wanted to start with maybe something really relevant to third, which is we're doing a lot of, and maybe James is going to hit this too, slope maintenance. And I wanted you to really know that how important this is. We always get a lot of calls when we do slope maintenance, particularly if there's a lot of removal involved. And in this case, we're doing a lot of fire reduction mitigation at the request of the fire district, and then also some habitat sort of reduction for coyotes and other vermin who like the overgrown, brushy slopes. So you may see that in gate 10 and 11, and it'll look a little bare at first, but it'll be beautiful in a while. So it'll get there. It just takes a little time. So anyway, that's coming. I wanted to talk a little bit about some of our customer service initiatives. There's a lot going on. You know, about 3 or 4 months ago, we had the most awesome team in resident services. They were knocking it out of the ballpark. And then those folks all got hired by other departments, and we were left stranded there with all these calls coming in. So we went on a real rush effort to train a bunch of folks, and they're all out of training now, and they've been out for a while, and actually we maybe overtrained a few of them. So we're kind of on the upswing again. And they were doing so good, we decided to move cable returns and cable service from the 3rd floor down to the 1st floor now. So when you're dragging all those modems and cable boxes back to the community center to upgrade and switch out, you don't need to get on the elevator and take them upstairs, dragging those cords behind you. Just take them into resident services and turn them in. We also opened a second counter for manor alterations. And we don't always have that second counter staffed, but when it gets behind, we bring the second person in to handle that. So that's a big deal. I think they're throwing you may notice the lines have changed. We removed the big, bulky, bank-like edifice that was in the middle of the room and replaced it with 3 rows of chairs that signify 3 different lines, and it's well marked. So you don't have to stand up anymore or sit on one of those awkward little curvilinear chairs that was there. You can sit down, keep your place in line. Shortly we'll have a queuing system, and so all you have to do is go to the front desk, give them your name, and they'll call you when it's your turn. And so that'll even make it better. You don't have to worry about where you sit. So getting a lot better there. And I did want to, and Marcy hit on it a bit, hit on Dwelling Live. We had, and I mentioned this in my little talk the other day, we unleashed this mobile app on the community, and almost instantly we had 500 people download the app and start registering their guests from their smartphone. That is the easiest and most efficient way to do that, and you can also do it from your desktop as well, or from an iPad or other notebook. So lots of easy ways for you to register your guests. You don't have to call up and stay on hold or be bounced around. You know, this has always been done by gate ambassadors. You call, and if a gate ambassador isn't busy, they pick it up and they help you sign in your guests. We still have that system, but mainly nights and weekends. During the day, when you call, you're getting resident services. You're not getting the gates. At night or on weekends, you're getting the gates again, and so you could get bounced around until a gate ambassador is available to serve you. I want to help you avoid all that. So you need to download the app, or if you want to go from your desktop, just go on our website and hit resident access, and boom, you'll see that icon there. Or the best thing to do is to go to the bottom, scroll to the bottom of our front page on our website and click on the YouTube icon. Y'all know what that looks like. It's got a U and a T, I think. And there'll be a video there with Chuck Holland. And it's actually about the most viewed video that we have. I think it's got like 1,200 views in the last 3 weeks. And he goes through the whole thing on this video. It's kind of an instructional video. So if you would do that and start registering your guests yourself, you would save yourself a lot of time and frustration, and ultimately help us become more efficient and put downward pressure on assessments. Now, we all want downward pressure on assessments, right? That's a big deal. So if you'll help, I'll do my part. You have my commitment to that.
I have a question.
Yes.
So some people, no matter what, YouTube video or this or that, they just can't get that last part done.
Bring your smartphone in.
So we had said that, and I don't want 1,000 people to be going up to, Catherine's desk, but what should they do if they can't, they just can't get it to work and they're dying to use it?
Can I make a comment? Because recently, 3 days ago, I just did myself. I want to share my
Well,
experience.
let Brad answer his question.
Okay.
And then
Then I'll
you
make
can
a
share your
comment.
experience.
We've had a lot of these, and I suggest you bring your smartphone into the community center.
James is out, James out.
Come in, James, come into the community center with your smartphone, and we will have somebody help you download the app and run through a couple of sign-ins for you.
Where do they take it in the
Just
community?
go right into resident services, or go to the front desk. The ladies there will get somebody to help you do that. We've
Okay.
trained a number of people in resident services, and if worse comes to worse, we have Chuck, who has plenty of time to,
Yeah.
you know him. He's got a lot of energy.
James.
Or I can help.
Or
You know, the
James-
best
no,
part-
James said he'll help.
The very best part, I think, about registering your guests online, and particularly the mobile application, is it will send you an email or a text when your guests arrive. So you can sign them in, and then when they arrive, boom, you get an email or text. And where it's very, very important is where maybe you're only a part-time resident here, but you have help coming in while you're not around. You'll know whenever they show up to do the work you've paid them for, because you'll get the text. They showed up at the gate.
Okay.
So, very good.
Thank you. Now, James wants to share his
Yeah,
story.
well, because I had to ask one of the, I guess, the guards, and they tell me, now this is what I'll tell you. Easy. First thing is on your smartphone, you got to download app called Dwelling Live. Just one word, Dwelling. DWELLING LIVE. Once you download that, then you click on open that, and then they will ask your email, okay, whatever your email is. But the critical part is, then they say, what's your password? I fooled around with several different password, it didn't work. So finally I said, I forgot it, tell me. Now, this is the part. Your password is your ID number. That is a very easy, your ID number. So whatever the emails, then you type your ID number, boom, there you go. Then you type whatever the name, many of them, your guest name, and then that's it. Easy.
So,
If you still have a question, come to me.
okay. All right. But are we getting another question on this?
Well, I did the same thing as James there. But my understanding is that once they're on the web, and we've got this in Dwelling Live, their name is there, that guest can go into any gate in the community. Is that true?
I don't know the answer to that. I just don't know the answer.
Well, I
We'll
think
find out.
that it depends on, for example, if you say gate 7, 8, 9, 10, then they can go those 4 gates. But if they want to go to, say, gate 16, go to Clubhouse 2, no, they will be rejected. So only interconnected the gates, that will be okay.
And it depends, too, if they're a caregiver, or if they're a guest, or an emeritus student. Everybody has a little bit different access there, but you have some control over that. So we'll get an answer for that. It's very important. Again, the member ID is a very critical feature. Now, I think Chuck suggests that once you get in there and get it set up, that you change that, because that is a number that others potentially could access. And so if you have other IDs that you use that you're more comfortable with, that you remember more readily, slip one of those in. It's easy to change. So, but that's just a starting point for all residents. It's the email address we have on file, plus the ID number on your resident member card. Okay, so many of you may have seen the big double-paged ad in the Globe about Laguna Woods Properties closing. And I think I just wanted to share with the community that we were aware of that. That's managed by PCM/Associa. Obviously, their interest in the area has diminished over the last couple of years, and probably this is not exactly within their core line of business. Associa manages communities, they don't really sell real estate, and so I think they're making an exit, and we wish them well. But I think it's important to note that sales are mostly flat here, maybe a tiny bit down. Listings are way down, and values are up, way up. If you look at and the most recent data I had was for United, double digits in the last year. So values up, listings down, sales a little bit down, and so that's what we have from the real estate office. And I don't suspect any of that has much to do with Laguna Woods Properties departing, but other business decisions that they're making. We're proceeding with our budget development, and I just wanted to give you a sense of the priorities as I see them, and encourage you to participate in the many meetings we'll be having in the community. We'll make sure they're on the Monday memo, on Team Up, and otherwise the community's advised of our budgetary process. But obviously, gatehouses and security are a big topic in the community. 5 and 6 have worked remarkably well. We'd like to expand that to the rest of the community. There's a need for clubhouse renovation at most clubhouses. We're going to put an emphasis on that. I think there's been some deferred maintenance for many years, and we need to catch up a little bit. And then obviously customer service technology is another big important community initiative. With respect to your manners, I know the third board is working very hard to develop a number of programs and activities to address the concerns you have, whether it be lighting or dry rot or roofs or painting, rats or other vermin, including bad neighbors. We're trying to address them all and address them all aggressively, and I think that will be part of our budgetary scheme as well. So I just want to kind of give you a flavor of what I'm thinking. Doesn't necessarily mean the third board or GRF or United will think the same way I'm thinking, but I'll make my presentation and arguments, and then they'll make changes as they see fit, and then you'll have a budget before you. So I look forward to that process, and I look forward to community engagement on that as well. On the transparency side, the boardroom project is moving forward. The automated voting and request to speak and other features that are included within that project are intimately integrated with something you've heard me talk about called Granicus, which is a transparency platform that streams and archives the actual board meeting. So really you can watch them anytime, anywhere, from a smartphone, on the golf course, in Minnesota. They'll always be available to you, morning, noon, and night. And then also has all the backup materials and agendas contained there in perpetuity. You'll always be able to see an agenda item, that was done years ago, if you want to look it up. So all that's good, and you'll be able to comment from afar. So maybe you're housebound and can't make it down to a meeting. You can still go on our website, click on Granicus, and make a comment about an item that's on the agenda before the actual item is heard, and then we'll make that information available to the board members as they get into their deliberations about a particular item. So, and that's also beneficial for residents who are maybe snowbirds or sunbirds. They're watching the meeting live on Granicus back in Minnesota, or they want to comment on an item that's coming before the board. They're not here. They can go on Granicus, make a comment, and we'll provide it to the board. So a lot of nice functionality, and all that coming to you June 1st, God willing, and Ernesto as well. So that's where we're at with that. I did want to comment on fitness center hours. This has been a little bit of a moving target, and I always like to err on the side of providing more for residents. And so what we've done here is we decided to go ahead and start earlier in the morning. A lot of our working residents had contacted me about getting in a little earlier before they go to work, and if we could just open at 5:30 or so, that would be helpful. And so we went ahead and looked at that and said, yeah, we can do that with existing staff, spread out a little bit. Well, then I had another group come in, a whole room full of them, saying, hey, we're the night owl workout folks. What are you doing for us? You're taking care of these early birds, but you're leaving us out. And they like to work out between 7:30 and 9. And so we checked and said, you know what, we can do that too. And so the new hours are, and these have been released to the community and will be posted at all the fitness centers, Monday through Friday, 5:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. at the community center and Clubhouse 1. Saturday and Sunday, now we used to be closed on Sunday, recall. Saturday and Sunday, 8 to 2. Another expansion of services there. Now, that's at the community center and Clubhouse 1. At Clubhouse 5, it's 5:30 to 9, 7 days a week. So really important. We're getting a lot of third residents going to Clubhouse 5. I mean, we're talking, 30 or 40 a day in a fairly small center. So very exciting. So those are the new hours. Early, late, we'll be there for you to get a good workout. I want to talk a little bit about, again, it's something I've talked about quite a bit, but it's taking large items and setting them next to the dumpster. I pleaded and begged, please don't do that anymore. I know the intent is good. You think, well, when Waste Management comes by, they'll throw that on the truck and haul it off. No, they won't. They will move it aside and empty the dumpster and leave it there. They do not pick up bulky items near the dumpster. They will, however, come in your manor and grab it and haul it off a few times a year. And I wish I had the number on that, Lori. Maybe you could get that for me so I can ask it later. Yes. So please, don't put large bulky items next to the dumpster. They will sit there for a very long time until one of my folks sees it and picks it up, or until you get tired of tripping over it on your way to your car and you call me and I have somebody come pick it up. The proper way is to call Waste Management, tell them you have a mattress or a couch or a TV, some bulky item, and they will come by and go up to your manor and haul it away for you. It's part of the service you're already paying for. So you might as well take advantage of it. So I want to make that really clear. And then lastly, I just want to hit...
Excuse me, Brad. But we do have a flyer that talks about bulky item pickup.
Yes.
We still have the 1 day a month on a Saturday bulky item pickup. Is that correct?
Yes.
And what Saturday is that?
The third Saturday.
The third
Saturday of the month.
See how informed? So
Third
the
Saturday.
third, so I don't want people to think that has changed.
1 day.
So that 1 day, the third Saturday of the month, I think you could put it out at night or early in the morning. So that still exists, correct? Yes, yes.
They come after 7 a.m.
Okay,
I'm a pro at that service.
okay. All right, thank you.
For the most part, it's better just to call them up and have them come get the big bulky items for you. That works really well. But if you want to take advantage of this other program, it's available too. And you know what? I think we'll send something out again in the e-blast this week. We do it frequently, but it's just, it's a misunderstood program, and we need to make sure that people know the proper way to utilize that.
Excuse me, Brett, we were told in the past, and maybe this is because there's a different trash company relationship, that when people called to have them come to their home, they charged extra. And the resident didn't pay the extra, the mutual paid the extra. So we're not being charged extra. So
No, you get so many calls a year, I believe.
So the thing is there's has to be a line though between not doing it so excessively that we start getting charged for it,
Right.
correct?
Yeah, I think that the limit is a couple of times a year, and I've not heard of any abuse of that. As a matter of fact, quite the opposite. I think most residents just take stuff and put it by the trash can, because I get a lot of calls on that. Probably one of my, actually right now it's probably my biggest complaint is that there's a bunch of stuff by the dumpster. Yeah, so we want to try to eliminate that.
Thank
and then
you.
lastly, I did want Want to hit on a couple of things at the Performing Arts Center. If you want to see True Willie, I suggest you get tickets today. It's almost sold out. That's at 7 p.m. on the 22nd. We also have, on the April 17th, we have a date night, The Meddler, that's at 7:30. And then on May 29th, we have the All-American Boys Chorus working with us and the VFW on a veteran recognition event, and that's at 1 p.m. and that's a free concert. So, yeah, May 29th, All-American Boys Chorus taking the stage for a free concert for our veterans here in the community. So I ask all of you to participate if you'd like. Thank you very much.
Okay, before you're done, I have a few things. Sales for Third Mutual actually are up over last year. We're going back to the real estate, and Steve will go over that when he gives the financial report. And we have, because of the some of the challenges with people being recruited from resident services, we have had a number of problems. If you have an issue, don't just get like upset about it and say, contact Brad's office, because I've had a number of people who've come over and complained about something, and I let him know, and he gets back to you. So don't have it so aggravate you that you get aggravated about it. If you have a problem, please let staff be aware of it. Is that good for you?
Yes, please, you can always, many of you know how to get a hold of me at the community center, but you can reach me, best way is through my email address, brad.hudson@vmsinc.org, and I'll get back to you right away, or have somebody who knows more than I do get back to you, usually both.
And are the little cards to compliment the employees available yet?
Yes,
Those
they're all
ones?
at the front desk, they're at all of the clubhouses.
Okay.
They're out and about, and I do appreciate all the wonderful comments that we get. And
Have people been filling them out?
yes, I've got a number of them. Oh, the standard ones, okay.
Oh, the employee ones that you told us about last month that I keep looking for aren't ready yet. He said that they hide them from me. All I want to do is give employees compliments who are doing a really good job.
I saw a stack
So-
of cards at the front desk. I assumed they were they're the general cards. They can comment about
Okay,
anything.
but when will they be ready? Did you get them printed in a foreign country?
I don't know. There you go, soon.
Okay. The end of the week. Okay, so when they come in, look for them, because it's important to recognize the employees who've gone the extra step or extra mile for you. Oh, okay.
Here, I've got the flyer right here. These are out and about.
Yeah, they have them at City Hall, actually. We should have
Yeah.
run outside and read it. Okay, so we are now, thank you very much, Brad, and thank you for taking such good care of our residents. Okay, so now we're up to our favorite part, which is where we hear from the residents. So please, when you come up to the microphone, just give your name and your manor number, and we allow 3 minutes, and James is the timer. And lots of times, we used to say in the past, you can comment on something that isn't on the agenda, but that, we were told by our legal counsel that is not necessarily the case. So if you want to comment on anything, hopefully positive, please come up and give your name and manor number. So please line up here. Thank you.
Good morning.
Right.
Name and manner.
Name and manor number.
Gloria Moldow, 3503A. And I'm here to talk about something about my manor, but I'm going to take a minute to make 2 public service announcements. One, I'm a bus buddy, and there are a nice sizable group of us who are trying to make our bus system work as good as possible for everybody, and it's been a very exciting journey because we've been discovering all the things that these buses do that most of us don't know about. So please inform yourself about it. There are also new comment cards that we're going to have distributed all around. If you have suggestions how to make this bus system work better, I have plenty myself. I'm working on them. And check the breeze, because there are special events, a trip coming up to San Juan Capistrano, and other very fine things. So Rebecca Jacobson is the person to call if you want more information. The other PSA is that I'm a secretary of the Energy Committee, and on this Thursday is Earth Day, and there's a wonderful program at Clubhouse 1 starting at 2 o'clock, and the Energy Club will have a table there. If you want to have any questions about solar, we have it, and there are several of us who will be there to talk about solar. We have 2 plug-in electric vehicles, so, and some of us who are on the board do too, so if you want to know about those wonderful electric vehicles, except my Tesla, which has a problem, we'll be glad to tell you about it. So let me tell you about the problem that I have today, which I want to apologize for bringing up because it's really a problem that I would have taken to MNC. But since MNC is meeting now every other month, and it's about the painters who are staging right now on my lawn and up the street, and by the time I would get this through MNC, they'll be blocks away. And I think this is a problem that hasn't surfaced and may affect other people because mostly they've been working on the 3-story buildings. But now that they're getting to the more individual manners with the garages, there are other issues, and I think it's a communication problem that has to be resolved. When we elected, some time ago, a year ago maybe, a fellow came around with paint selections, and you just couldn't pick any color. If our little group of 3 units wanted white, which we did, then we buy into this whole package. So as you can see, or you can't, but the trim, there's white, and then there's a trim which is one shade of beige. The accents are taupe, and then the entry door is another color, and the garage door. So we bought into this package, and it's not clear, really, the difference between trim and accent. So imagine our shock when our house was painted. Lovely young men, fine job, I would commend them also. And I'll pass these around later. But this, we have a Casa Rosa with a front patio area that is not enclosed and a rear patio area that is not enclosed, but both of them have enclosures. So this front patio area has a 4-foot brick wall, which is painted white like the rest of the house, as we expected. However, the back patio wall, which is also 4 feet, imagine our surprise when they take off the plastic from the back windows and all of a sudden our white patio is transformed into this dark taupe. So that the front wall is called a wall, the rear wall is called an accent. So I think that needs to be clarified with everyone. And my own wish, if I were at an MNC, I would say, please send those painters back. I want white back again. That's a wall. So here's another picture of that dark wall, which darkens the whole living room. It's not an accent, it's a wall. The trim around the windows, yes, that's trim. Around our front gate, there is an architectural feature. It's a curved feature. Okay, that's accent, trim, whatever they want to call it. The back wall on our patio is a wall. It's a 4-foot wall, and it goes down to 20 inches, and it's the same as the front wall. So I'd like to see that painted white, but I urge you to talk to whoever the paint people are and make sure that when they present this little schematic for what the house is going to look like, that they will say, in particular, this is going to be dark gray, and this is going to be white, so that everybody knows. So if I have any second, do I have any, half a minute left?
No, your time's up.
I just wanted to say this 3rd board is wonderful. Nobody knows but those of us who are spouses at home how hard these people are working day and night to do stuff that has not been done before. I give them all kudos, but they need time off to get well.
Thank you, Gloria. And never mind. We comment at the end. Yes, name and manor number, please.
Marvin Rawich, 55103B. It's a 3-story Garden Villa building. And this is entirely coincidental because I came up here to mention that our building is one of those 12 that had the installation of the solar panels. And also, almost concurrently, they painted the whole building. I just wanted to say that the work being done by the solar people, the electricians, and the painters was absolutely perfect. It couldn't have been better. and I have absolutely no complaint. In fact, I want to give them a great compliment.
Thank you.
Now,
All right, we're ready.
having said that, having said that, I have another issue that I'd like to talk about. I read over very carefully from last month's minutes the drone policy. And it sounds to me like it's a little bit confusing because at one part it mentions that the only people that will use drones are the people who are working in the village, which I think is a great idea because it saves tons of money and time if the people doing the work can survey the area from the air without having to take these bus rides and walk around. That's wonderful. However, I have a very negative feeling about having anyone else, resident, non-resident, anyone else, flying a drone in this community. I think that's a bad idea.
Certainly not to interrupt you and certainly not to answer your question, which we don't do to the end, but we are sending the entire drone policy back to security for review.
Thank you.
So I had to do that because I didn't want, more drone people to come up. But the entire thing, we've had so many comments. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sandy Barron, and I want to thank you for approving 3386C. And my question is, am I good to go? Aside from reading all of the things that I need here, which I have done, can my builder start working on my unit?
Yeah, you will get notice, okay, from the architecture committee with an approval to go ahead.
And will that be soon?
Very soon.
Oh, thank you, because we're all holding our breath right now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm sorry, again, usually we don't answer when the people come up. We wait till the end, so we'll do that for the rest. I broke that format. Okay, next, name and manor number, please.
Corky Ely, 24012E, Mariposa West. This is a new experience for me in City Hall. When I came to City, I went to the other building because I had no idea it was torn up too. I wish somebody would start informing us in the paper or someplace that your meetings are over here instead of someplace else. That's not my comments. I'm going to start. I had to come today because I was madder than hell at this book that was passed out, the 2017 business plan, where they eliminated the towers and mutual number 55 from it. As you know, all of you, I think, got a few letters from me complaining about what had happened. And I would like to know why you allowed this to go on. And where is the operational budget that you're supposed to send to every person of the operational budget of Leisure World? I haven't seen one here in 30 years. And I've been up several times, and I've gone over the Davis-Sterling Act, which I see that in your agenda now, you're commenting about the CC&Rs. Well, don't any of you read the CC&Rs? Because on number 14, it tells you that we had to vote. Here they are, copies of them. I have them all printed up for myself, and I go over them all the time. But we don't vote on anything around here. Now, what is wrong with this? What you did, you got rid of PCM, or we thought you did, and lo and behold, where are they? Managing the towers. That can't be. They're a part of Leisure World.
Corky,
I have every year, I buy the book. and it tells you absolutely nothing in here, except if you go through it, I found out that the new manager was under the new book. Did any of you get a copy of this? I know that you get one and you work from it every year.
Corky, your time is up.
I've got one more thing to say before I sit down. Did you ever look in here at the wages of some of these people? Because there's new things in here, and the one area that I was really surprised with, the wages. We can't afford to live in Leisure World anymore. We've lived in here for 30 years and gone over the CC&Rs and the trust and broken it down.
Corky, your time is up, okay?
I'm sorry, but I am so damn upset with you people that sit on the board and let other people make your decisions for you. You're supposed to be representing all of us.
Thank you, Corky.
Good morning again.
Name and manner number,
Yes,
please.
Marcy Scheinwald, 5155. I'm here wearing my other hat right now on behalf of the foundation. For all of you
We thought you were coming up to compliment us, telling us we were
Well, I
doing a
thought I
good
did
job.
that early
All
this
right.
morning.
Thank you.
God knows. No, I'm here just to tell everybody that this month we are celebrating the 20th anniversary of the foundation. It started in 1997 in response to floods here in the village. At that time, its budget was only about $2,000. Since its start, it has given over $2 million to help village residents. Next Thursday night, on April 27th at 7 o'clock, we're holding a public meeting in Clubhouse 2. If you would like to learn more about the foundation and what it does, please join us. And again, would like to close on thanking the village for its support, because without village support, the foundation would not exist. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marcy.
Ed McGill, 23902C. I just wanted to comment on the gate entry. I found out through experience this past weekend that if you do phone in your party must know your address. And as dumb as that sounds, most don't. And I didn't think about it until I couldn't get my daughters in. Then I thought about it. I don't know their address where they live, but I've been there for 11 years. So if you don't tell them, they won't let you in the gate. They made them both come around and then phone and get the address. So it would be helpful if everybody knew that. We put it in the Village News or the Breeze or something of that nature.
Thank you very much, Ed.
Good morning. My name is Lynn Jarrett, 40101C. I'm president of the Garden Villa Association. I'm here to talk about a couple things to do with the Garden Villas. Last night I had a really interesting meeting with quite a few captains down in Gate 5. But one of the things that came out of this meeting, one of the people told me that there's something going on that I was very shocked at. And what it pertains to is that somebody there at 2398 1C is going through a renovation process. So they're going through the permit process and the architect and all this, and they have to keep coming in here to revise their plans from the architect because of things that are going on and making sure everything's correct. But then they got sent back by whoever it is in permits, saying that they need to, when they prepare the wall, to taking out their heat pumps, so they're going to put in an air conditioning unit, that they have to take the casing off of the outside of the building of that heat pump. So what I'm here today to show you, if we make these things happen in Garden Villa, 3-story buildings, which is ridiculous. I'll show you what it looks like. If one of these is removed, it's going to be horrible. We've got to keep the standards.
So you're talking about removing the air conditioning?
It can remove the air conditioner, but that casing on the outside does not have to be removed. A lot of people have removed heat pumps and went to air conditioning systems. What they do is they close up the inside wall properly. That's what everybody does.
So what you're basically saying, and just to clarify, is if they remove the exterior air conditioner, that
Casing.
casing.
It's not an air conditioner,
and the
it's a casing.
that's on everybody else's window, in a 3-story building, is going to look different.
Yeah, it's going to look awful.
Okay.
We don't want to start doing that. And I don't know where this rule came from. But I couldn't wait till the M&C meeting next week to discuss it because this is happening now. They're making this guy go back and do this. So I really like to, okay, there's another issue that I'd like to bring.
Could you give the unit number?
Yes,
and
23981C.
Is this something new?
Yes. I've never heard of it before.
External.
And we cannot have this happen. We got to keep the standards. That casing doesn't have to be removed. The other thing I want to bring to your attention is that there's been several people, especially down in the golfing area, down the golf course area, where there's a lot of golf carts. They bring to my attention just recently, and even last night it came up again, there are no rules for parking those golf carts in the garage. And maybe we missed the boat when we did the parking study by not including something to do with parking the golf carts in the garage, because it causes a lot of arguments and problems. So I'm just bringing that to you, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Lynn. Name and manner number, please.
Marty Lapata, 23981B. I happen to live next door to 1C, which Linda just spoke about, and the owner who's going through the remodeling process, who was told to remove the casing, was also told to move the new air vent for the microwave. And so in the blueprints, the air vent came out next to the bathroom, where there's a cutout there. So it's in the corner. And he said now, the association, after he did all his plans, after 4 months of having his plans reviewed, now they say move the vent. So I said, this is weird. My vent comes straight from I remodeled 2 years ago, and it comes right out of the microwave, right straight ahead. Now he's told by remodeling services to make a diagonal cut through the roof or the overhang and come out somewhere else. And so I said, gee, that's weird. 2 years ago, they said the vent could go straight. Now they're saying turn the vent another direction. So what I'm not understanding is why all these rules are changing and why are we not being told that they're changing. Second part of my conversation is Linda just spoke about the golf carts. My concern is in terms of our rules of the golf cart, what it says essentially is first come, first serve. And so I perceive a challenge coming forward someday where somebody has moved their golf cart where they keep it and somebody else goes into their parking space because there is no rule for who parks the golf cart where. There are 6 possible parking spaces in an underground garage, and some go in front of their garage, their car, some park in those available spots. But then comes the problem with the electricity. So if you park your golf cart in front of your locker, there's no way to get the juice over the top except with extension cords. And so I think that without making any rules concerning all this, we're going to have a problem one day. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
My name is Jeff Lulo. The unit number, the manor number is 3410. Start out by thanking you for approving one of the variances that we requested, which is for extending our portico. But we also were on the agenda, but now we're apparently off because there's a resolution in your agenda packet to resolve that the construction of our patio enclosure would go forward. Now we're apparently put on hold despite the fact we've had 3 approvals, and now we're off the agenda. I'm also speaking on behalf of my neighbor, who's been a friend for 45 years, Tom Preston, and his wife, Josie, who live at 3411. They're in Norway today, so they can't be here. But they also have had approval 3 times for their patio enclosure, and suddenly they're off the agenda. The same is true for Mr. Scheitman at 5346A. So we would like to get going on the project. We have done everything that we've been asked to do. You have the plans. It has gone through 3 approvals, and we are set to go, and now we're put on hold again. We'd like to get going.
Thank
you.
Is there anyone else? Okay, so now we have a few things to address. A lot of them are M&C, so I'm going to...
Actually, architecture.
Well, okay, I still get them sort of, they're either architecture or M&C, because the paint is a toss-up between those two. We put paint under architecture. So Bert, would you like to address any of those issues? Are you well enough?
Jeff's comment about the patio enclosure, I think we've explained. Right now, we're dealing with legal issues, and they have been raised. We have been told that if we proceed to give away common area, we will be facing a lawsuit regardless, and we have to resolve this issue. Initially, you were on the list of approval, and we just had to back away. We're just not, looking for lawsuits. We'll be spending more money in lawsuits than it's going to be worth. So we will try to resolve this issue within the next week or 2. We will be working with our legal counsel.
So Bert, if we work with our legal counsel and we get the approval, we don't have to wait till the next board meeting. We could have a special meeting.
We can go ahead, right.
Okay, we could have a special meeting. So if and when we get approval, and we're having a meeting with our legal counsel today, we will have a special meeting and vote for approval. We're not going to have to say to anybody in here that you have to wait another month if it is approved. So we will, Bert will stay on top of that.
The other comment from Marty, you raise a very interesting issue with regard to those golf carts. Those areas are not assigned, and perhaps we've been missing the boat as a board in the fact that those are areas, they are valuable with regard to parking. I mean, initially, there are outlets to provide charging for golf carts within the parking space assigned to the units.
Right.
Okay? And perhaps what we need to do is go into these buildings and assign these spots and charge for their use. It seems to me it would make some sense. So we ought to take that into consideration in the future.
Okay, is that it?
Yep.
And you're going to check into the painting?
Check into the painting, and I'll check into the air conditioner.
Okay. So I guess the other big item is a response to the rather harsh comments by a resident saying that we don't know what we're doing and what's going on, and asking questions about the towers, that we don't announce that this meeting is moved, even though we've probably done it 30 times. So I would like somebody to volunteer to address all the issues. And Brad, you would like to do that?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
I would. First, let me start with the accusation that we don't mail things to our residents, which is absolutely ludicrous. We spend thousands upon thousands of dollars every year, and you're going to get a mailing from us in a couple of weeks of the audited financial statements. So you'll get that, and then a little later in the year, you'll get mailed some ballots for elections, and then you'll get mailed our budget and operating statements. So there's a lot of things that we mail out to keep people informed. every year. And in addition to that, because I know I don't read everything that shows up in my mailbox, and probably neither do a lot of the residents here, we have all this stuff posted online as well. So if you do happen to miss something, or you can go online to our website and pull up all sorts of good stuff. And so I encourage you to do that in case you do maybe accidentally, like I have before, throw things away that I wanted to read. It does happen. I think with respect to the towers not being in our operating statement, our budget book, we do not prepare their budget. We do not prepare their operating statements and materials. That's done by a different company. So I really can't put it into our book. They are included with respect to the Golden Rain Foundation, of which they are still a corporate member, and their members still contribute to the ongoing expenses of the Golden Rain Foundation and our common facilities, and they still have access to our common facilities. But with respect to the management of those buildings and the individual units therein, those financial information is not contained within our operating statements. And so I just want to make that clear. Perhaps that'll change in the future. We don't know. But for the current year and for next year as well, they are not slated to be included within our budget processes or document, except as it pertains to the Golden Rain Foundation.
So to add to that, and a lot of this were on the boards then, but when we were going through the transition, the towers opted to stay with PCM, and that was their choice. I think that for a larger mutual, well, the larger mutuals, if somebody decided to stay with PCM, it wouldn't have really been possible because we share the equipment, we share the lawnmowers. There was too much sharing, which is when all of the mutuals, we decided to work together, to work with the new management company and work together to make this a more positive experience for the residents. So it was the tower's choice, and but we work with them on a lot of other things, and you know, they come to all of our meetings, they come to our training. They're also going to be sitting on the GRF board in a non-voting position. Is that correct? So that's their choice. I find it very problematic when people are saying that people don't get to vote on things. We haven't had any major changes we haven't changed the CC&Rs, we haven't changed the bylaws, although there are some things that might need change, at which point the residents would have to vote on it. So we have to deal with that. That's a different issue. But we can't change our operations or the way we operate because they're set as the rules. We also don't run around willy-nilly just changing the standards for construction or renovation because we can't do that. So I think it's so important that people bring that to our attention. Thank you very much, Marty. So that and Lynn, so that we know, wait a minute, something's happened here. We didn't change the standards. Maybe somebody has some miscommunication and we have to get it fixed. So we don't change things, as you well know, at these meetings when we are planning on making any kind of a change. And this is a minor change that doesn't have to do with the CCRs or bylaws. We have to present it, and Ed McGill knows this very well. We have to have it noticed for 30 days or 60 days. You have the opportunity to bring your comments, and then we vote on it. So please do, and I'm still troubled by it, that we are trying to work very, very hard to do our best for the community. And we've talked about being at this place as opposed to the community center for months on end. And I keep saying, when are we going back? But
well, you're right. We've noticed this many, many times.
And when are we going back, Brad?
For your June meeting.
June now. All right, but in any case, does anyone else have anything to say before we move on to the next part? No? No? Oh, no? Goodness gracious. Okay. So the next part of is unfinished business. And usually I turn this over to Bert Baum. Number 12A is to entertain a motion to approve revision to late fees, fines, and services. Go ahead, Bert.
Whereas the collection and lien enforcement policy specifies a late charge in the amount of $20 per month for delinquent assessments, and whereas the corporation also imposes a late charge of $10 per month for collection efforts on other non-assessment delinquent amounts. Now, therefore be it resolved, April 18th, 2017, that the Board of Directors hereby approves the late charge for unpaid fines, fees, and chargeable services will be a flat fee of $35 per month, charged at least 25 days after the date of the original invoice. And resolve further that the effective date of the new fee amount will be May 1st, 2017, and resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purpose of this resolution. I move.
I second.
Any questions or any comments? Okay, I have a comment, and the thing is because I read the breeze and it wasn't clear to me, this is not an increase in the charge if your assessment is late. That is an amount that's established and it's sent out with the mailing. So this has only to do with charges, like if you got something through resident services and you got a water heater and you just decided that you were going to not pay your bill. So it has to, if you have a fine, so it has to do with fines, fees, and chargeable services. Thank you. Fines, fees, and chargeable services, not assessment. So it's just a clarification. Thank you. So we still have to do this. So we have a vote. All those in favor? Okay. And this does not go into effect until May 1st.
Correct.
All right, thank you. Next.
Revision, whereas Third Laguna Hills
You're
Mutual.
up to 12B? B?
Yes, I am. This is
Okay.
12B.
All right.
Whereas Third Laguna Hills Mutual desires to strengthen delinquency collection procedures, and whereas the collection and lien enforcement policy and procedures for assessment delinquency states, quote, failure to pay the assessments or failure to pay interest, a late fee, and or the administrative collection fee may also result in suspension of membership in and the ability to use the facilities or services provided by the Golden Rain Foundation of Laguna Woods or by this mutual, end of quote. And whereas the GRF Board adopted Resolution 901509, which authorizes GRF at the request of the mutual to take disciplinary or suspension action against a mutual member, which includes but is not limited to the suspension of the mutual member's right to use the cable TV system. And now, therefore be it resolved on April 18th, 2017, that the Board of Directors hereby approves deactivation of cable service at a delinquent members unit when a member becomes 60 days delinquent on assessments, fines, fees, or chargeable services currently or hereafter, except when a member's payment plan is approved by the board and remains current. And resolve further that resolution 0315100, adopted July 21st, 2015, is hereby superseded and canceled, and resolved further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purpose of this resolution. I move.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion?
Discussion.
One question. Resolve further that Resolution 0315-100 adopted July 21st. That is, I just want to verify because I forgot to go look at it after I read this. That is a third mutual resolution and not a GR resolution. Is that correct?
Yes, it says 03, right? It's a third mutual.
Right, okay. Sure.
We can't.
That's right. Thank you, Bert. Thank you for reminding me of that. Okay, good. I just wanted,
But good, it's a good thing to raise.
and I wanted to know that since I didn't read 0305-100.
15.
0315-100, the wording in there is essentially the same, and we're only changing the wording because we're superseding and canceling this. We aren't superseding and canceling more than what we've done here. I'm satisfied. Thank you.
Good. So, any other discussions? If no, we need a vote.
Right.
Well, those ones supported this, raising your hand. Okay, unanimous.
Okay, thank you very much, James. So now we're up to C?
Yes,
Or
we
did we
are.
get past C while I stepped out? No.
No, not that fast.
No. The B passed.
Whereas the Board of Directors of this corporation adopted Resolution 030309 on January 21st, 2003, which amended a portion of the standards with regard to Section 23, balcony and patio cover wood, revised May 1996, and whereas the Architectural Control and Standards Committee of this corporation recognizes the need to make further changes to the Third Laguna Hills Mutual Standards, revised April 1996, and whereas Laguna Woods Village is experiencing a major dry rot infestation resulting in costly remediation work, and whereas the use of wood on newly constructed external surfaces such as fascia boards, terraces, railings, walls, and arbors is now prohibited, and now therefore be it resolved, April 18, 2017, that Section 23, balcony and patio cover wood, is hereby eliminated, and resolved further that Resolution M39628, adopted May 21st, 1996, is hereby amended, and resolved further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purpose of this resolution. I move.
Do we have a do we have a second? Okay.
3 seconds.
So you have that? All right. So do we have any comments or discussion?
Yeah, I have a question again. It dawned on me when they changed the trellis on my manor, the walkway trellis, and replaced it with wood. Going forward, pardon me?
Who is they?
They, the painting crew, or the prep to paint, right, right.
And when was that?
That was about 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago. Had several of the beams were bad, but not all of the wood was bad. It had not been dry rot. Are we asking the prep to paint folks to actually take the entire trellis down when they come to paint and replace it with Aluma wood or some other material that is not wood? Only those parts that are dry rot. So they understand this. In other words, that direction has gone out. They understand that they're only going to be replacing sections that are dry rotted with the alternative material.
It's calling for newly constructed external surfaces.
Okay.
Okay. If there is wood and it's fine, no dry rot,
Leave it.
it will leave it.
But if part of that wood is bad, it's dry rotted,
That's
then they replace it with the alternative material.
correct.
Okay.
Okay.
I beg to differ, because I had the paint crew just came out, and they found dry rot in certain areas, and they replaced it with wood, just that part.
Because we didn't vote on this yet.
Well, whatever, but I don't know if they're getting the message, and then if we'll have a consistent policy for that.
And that is very,
They don't have the message because we haven't voted on it.
I know,
Okay.
but I'm just saying, they have to be alerted.
so once it is voted on, there will be very clear procedures, correct? Is that correct?
I would hope so.
All right.
I think somebody should follow up on this. I would even be willing to go follow up on it with Brett and make sure that it happens and look at the policy and procedure.
Well, it's from two ends. It's Brett is the resident end, but also staff end too, right?
Well, he's staff.
Ernesto. No, I meant, if staff is going in and doing the work, they have to make sure that they're doing it correctly.
We have to.
I mean, the people in the field.
Right.
That's what you're saying.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, no problem. But,
So
I'm not going to,
two
yeah.
right.
But I'll go start with Brett and we'll figure out. I would like to see the policy, the procedures and policy that they're going to use to implement this. And this comes out of past experiences that I think it's really important that when we pass resolutions, that we make sure that that gets filtered down to the proper people and that those policies and procedures are implemented.
Right.
Comment?
I just wanted to clarify one thing with Bill. So does this will pass today?
Yes.
This will pass today
Yes.
with vote. So that means so this should be on the M&C agenda,
Yes.
discussing the policies, how this is going to be done. Yes?
Implemented.
The implementation of this new resolution. Do you agree with that, Bert?
Yep.
Okay, so let's just make sure that's done.
Lori's got a comment here from
But
staff.
first, we have to take the board. Yes,
Oh,
John?
okay.
This motion, this resolution does not address partially constructed formations or partially constructed pieces. And I think that that's an omission, and I think that this resolution needs to be revised to address the fact that partially constructed, partially new constructed are not included.
I'm not a little, what I was going to say, not a little clear. I don't know what you mean by partially new constructed. So,
What I mean is that you shouldn't replace a part of a construction improvement with with aluminum wood and leaving the rest in wood. That's inappropriate.
okay, well, we're going to discuss. So you're saying that you think that this resolution should have clarification?
That's correct.
Or should it?
Pass it the way it's written.
Okay, so do we have a recommendation as to how to amend this? Anybody else on the board has anything? No, she's not on the board.
I think it should be discussed and not just off the cuff that we make.
Okay.
Go back to the committee.
Well, I think that the statement that says the use of wood on newly constructed external surfaces such as fascia boards, terraces, railings, walls, and arbors is now prohibited. So basically, if they're replacing a fascia board on a trellis and that's the only thing they're replacing, it's saying replace that fascia board.
If that represents the entire improvement, certainly.
But, pardon me, I didn't catch that, John?
If that represents the entire improvement, certainly, but partial improvements cannot be partial aluminum wood and partial wood.
Well, that's why I raised the issue. Can you have a mix and match with that?
I think we
Okay.
need staff to make a recommendation.
Wait, may I?
Yes, yes, Bert.
I thought this was from someone who's going to build a completely new patio cover.
Right.
It says newly constructed. If you are replacing the fascia on an existing a patio or whatever, that's already constructed. It's not a new construction. It's not a newly constructed feature or part of a manor.
So it's a repair.
That's a repair. Good point, yes.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I can live with that, but as long as we understand,
So
if
is that
I-
clear? I mean, Bert, would you want to comment on that?
Well, what I'd like to do is discuss that with Patrick.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so the thing is that we cannot pass this then, or we can pass this just for newly constructed, so that we have that under control, and then definitely address the repair, which would come with the painting project.
Right.
Address that, okay, and that could work, yes, Lori?
But that would be another resolution.
Yes, yes, Lori?
Okay, so the architectural committee met last week, and they approved the Alumawood colors. And so now that's going to go to M&C for a process on how that's going to happen, both on new and on repairs.
No, because we're saying that new is addressed. So we have to come up with a whole procedure. Now, we're not talking about the colors, we're talking about the procedure for repairs.
Right.
So that it has to be developed and consistent. That one place can't go in and put some wood, the other one put the other way. So it has to, we have to come up with a consistent procedure for repairs, which have to do with the prior to paint cycle, correct?
Right.
Because it's just as for us, when we're going to be spending a lot of money to replace, so repair and replace I call it the railings in the buildings that have, in the LH21s where they have the wood because of the dry rot problems, and okay, so, yes.
Okay, on the last, now therefore be it resolved, can we insert there effective immediately before April 18th, 2017? So I don't see an effective date in here anywhere. It may be assumed, but I don't see it stated.
Well, this is it.
So just before,
Well,
last now therefore be it resolved, effective immediately.
No,
April.
but this is the date we're resolving it.
Yeah, but it doesn't say when it takes effect.
Well, it takes effect now.
Today.
Okay, that's why I said it should say
Well,
immediately.
but all our.
Well, here's
I don't see where it says
30-day
that.
notification requirement date has been satisfied in the front,
Yeah, but
in
that's
the first
talking
page.
about this.
No, if you look at the first page, normally it says a 30-day notification requirement has been satisfied. So that means immediately.
Okay.
It's not clear to me.
Can I make a motion to table this?
No.
No, because what
Sure,
they
you can-
basically,
sure,
you
you can
can.
make it.
You can, all right, so we have a motion on the floor, and now you want to amend, you want to make a motion to table this till when?
30 days.
So
Okay,
Speak
so, all right, so you want
Vote
to
on the
make, so
amendment.
we have to vote on the amendment. So does somebody second his motion, John's motion?
Dies for lack of second.
The motion fails for lack of second. Boy, I finally got to do that. Okay, so what we are voting on then, we satisfied the 30 days, we just have to vote for it again. And this has to do with new construction, but we are going to come back with this addressing partial construction, which has to do with repairs, which is a staff procedure. And so we will address that then. So that, would that have to get another 30 days?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a different.
Okay, all right, well, let's make sure, Lori, that we don't miss this one. Okay, all right, so all those in favor? Are we clear of what we're in favor of? All right, good, okay.
Don't change his mind.
Did John vote for this?
Yes, I voted.
Okay, all right, good, we're done. All right, now we're going up to 12C.
Whereas the Board of Directors of this corporation adopted Resolution M39628 on May 21st, 1996, which approved the third Laguna Hills Mutual Standards revised April 1996, and whereas the Architectural Control and Standards Committee of this corporation recognizes the need to further
Wait a minute.
amend.
I'm sorry, are you reading 12C? We already, this is 12D.
12D.
12D, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
We're on
Yep.
12D.
12D.
I'm reading 12D,
Good.
Madam Chair. Whereas the Architectural Control and Standards Committee of this corporation recognizes the need to further amend a portion of the alteration standards with regard to Section 29, solariums, and whereas Laguna Woods Village is experiencing a major dry rot infestation, Section 2.2 has been amended to state that posts must be of aluminum only. Now therefore be it resolved, April 18th, 2017, that mutual alteration standard, Section 29, solariums, is hereby amended as attached to the official minutes of this meeting, and resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purpose of this resolution, and resolve further that resolution 030310 adopted January 21st, 2003 is hereby superseded and canceled, and resolution 030642 adopted September 19th, 2006 is hereby amended. I move.
Do we have a second?
Okay, I second.
Okay, any comments?
Again, I'm gun shy about this superseded and canceled, okay? So we're actually saying that we're going to take the 2003 resolution and totally cancel it. And then on resolution 030642, we're going to amend it, which would be good because where it says, whereas Laguna Woods Village is experiencing a major dry rot infestation, section 2.2 has been amended.
So what
Okay.
you're saying is that sometimes if you cancel something, it has some components that you want to stay.
Right. And what I'm saying here is this is a multi-section document.
Right.
Okay.
So you're saying we
And I'm
don't
saying
want-
that's fine if you're going to, if resolution 030642 adopted on the 2006 contains all of those sections, then yes, amending it is the proper way to talk about it.
So, but we shouldn't be canceling it, we're just amending.
Well, we had canceled
Right.
a resolution that preceded that.
Okay.
And that's fine, as long as we don't lose things.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so you didn't amend this motion, you were just doing clarification?
I was doing clarification, no amendment.
Okay, so
clear.
any other comments? So all those in favor? Okay. Oh, so it passes. So the next item is E, the drone policy, and before we don't have to vote on it because
No.
it's being removed. This item is being removed. We're not voting on it. It has to be sent back to committee for everyone. It is not only for Third or United or GRF, it is being sent out back to Security, which is the committee that put it together, because we have had a lot of concern. So,
I'd like to make a formal move to do that, so we're on record that that's what we
Okay.
want to do. So
all right, so you want to make a motion?
yeah, I make a motion that we send this back to committee.
Okay, second?
Second.
All right, any comments?
I'd like to make an amendment. I think that we should send it back to committee with a statement as to why we feel it has to be changed. That being that we object to allowing a resident other than, in other words, we will only allow VMS or a recognized agent of VMS, period.
Yeah. But I think if you're going to have the statement, there are really three factors that came out related to this policy. One is the danger particularly since you could do this at 100 miles per hour. So there was a real danger to the community, and they were really concerned about that. Second was the privacy issue. People were really concerned about that. And the third was the noise. So there are three factors that we've heard about, maybe we're going to hear more, that really made us reconsider this. And I want to say that in the report, it says that United passed this unanimously. I think the vote was 8-1, because one of the directors told me he was the only one who voted against it.
And both GRF and United are in their 30 days, so they haven't been approved.
Okay.
And I think, in this, Bert, I think that there are a lot of things that still have to be covered, because people brought up the fact that if Amazon delivers with drones,
Yeah,
what are we going to do?
we don't want any.
And so we all said we're going to deliver it to the community center. So there's so many different components of this that I think that, I know that you would like to amend it, but I think just giving it to security, and there's so many parts, so I don't know if you want to stick to your amendment, then we could vote on the amendment. So if this is your amendment, he needs a second to his amendment. Anybody second his amendment? Okay? So now all those,
Can you repeat that amendment?
Yeah.
So
What are
can
we
we,
voting on?
usually we would ask Leslie to do that, but I'll leave it to Bert this time, next
What I'm
time.
saying is, I'm suggesting that we provide
No, you're amending the motion
Amending the
to
motion.
state.
to include our objection, which is we do not want any resident to have the right to fly a drone.
Okay.
And that basically we will approve only the VMS or a recognized agent of VMS.
So why don't we just say that only VMS and a recognized agent may have responsibility for drones?
And that's our recommendation.
Right.
Right.
Okay. All right, so we have an amendment to the motion that says that we want to make sure that we put in our motion that it should only be VMS or an agent approved by VMS who could operate a drone in here. I don't have a problem with that, but.
Second.
All right, so we're seconded. So now we have to, so now it would be an opportunity for a resident who is standing there wanting to say something about this to give her name and manor number and say what she wants to say.
Okay, I'm Carolyn Pardo, 5036. And actually, first of all, I want to thank Third for listening to the residents on this, because I know there were a lot of us that were unhappy with this, and Third has listened, so very thankful. And I like the amendment that was just made, kind of covers some of the things that I was talking about, or that we've been concerned about. My parents moved here in 1973. They had a new home then. My husband and I just moved in a year and a half ago. So I've been aware of what goes on within the boards and everything. And one of the things I've learned is you need to be specific on things, because if there's gray areas, somebody's going to find a way to go around the gray area. So one of the things that I liked is that there's no, that the residents cannot fly. I would also like to see, we would also like to see that who the staff, in your original thing, you said that the staff could fly. That was part of your third thing that I read in the, whatever, on the breeds or one of those.
Right.
Anyway. And then I started questioning who's staff, because does that mean a lifeguard could fly? I mean, looking at these gray areas that could exist, so.
May I answer?
No, let her finish.
Sorry.
So anyway, that was one of the areas, and then we also would also like not to see, like, the realtors, and I don't know who could pass for the realtors, like if EMS decides the realtors.
No.
That's just another gray area. But thank you all for listening, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I think the basic part of this policy will still hold. In other words, you would have to, even VMS would have to file a flight
Right.
plan. They would have to be licensed. Security would control this, and we've already spoken to Tim Moy who's the Director of Security, and he agrees with that. There's no problem with that. Right.
Well, I wouldn't have said anything after you said something about not saying any more drones, but I took off from a class today, and I thought, well, I at least ought to be able to say what I had to say.
And thank you very much.
But thank you all for listening. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion. We have an amended motion, and now we have to vote on the amended motion. All those in, did you have something else you wanted to say, or are you voting?
No, I wanted to say something, if I could.
Okay, Annette.
This is on the amended motion that Bert was making. When I read this...
Do you want to amend the amendment, or are you just speaking to the motion?
I think I want to amend the amendment.
There's only one amendment to the amendment. Right.
That's allowed.
That's it. You got the last one. You got the last one.
We're up to our last amendment.
Okay, what I want to include in there is I want it to be, they talk about insurance policies, I want it to be a U.S. rated AAA or AA insurance policy.
Well, if VMS does it.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't say it in the application, doesn't say it anywhere in there.
It's all going to be changed,
Okay.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
I wanted to include that.
Okay.
So does...
Do we vote on the amendment to the amendment?
Do we vote, yes. So we have a second to the amendment to the amendment. We have a second?
I think it was Joel's. No?
Who, did anybody second it?
No.
You wanted me to second?
Well, I think it was,
Okay, I second,
All
so we
right.
can discuss.
so, good. I think the key thing, the really key thing is that security has to be in charge of this.
Yeah.
I don't even like the fact that VMS can do this. It should be, security has to be in charge. They are the ones who are going to, okay, if the television station wants to do something, or if Thrive wants to do something, security has to call all of the shots. They really do.
Security is VMS.
But it doesn't say only VMS, only security. It leaves it open to other VMS. Of course, security has to approve it, but,
Right.
so, yes, Bill.
The amendment, the original amendment from Bert was to give a reason why. It was not to give direction on how this should sound.
Right.
And so that's why I would not vote for that additional, the amendment to the amendment.
Got it.
All right. So all those in favor, so don't have an amendment to the amendment?
It was not second.
Wasn't seconded, so it died. All right. So now we have to go back to the first amended one. No, James seconded it.
James seconded.
I was forced.
I know, all right. Because I
You
wanted.
got a broken arm?
So all those that I forced him, oh goodness. All those in favor of the amendment to the amendment?
Would you repeat it, please?
Okay.
All right.
She withdrew.
That's the insurance.
All right, she basically was withdrawing it, okay. So all those in favor of the amendment? All right. Everyone's in favor of the amendment.
You didn't vote? Oh.
Okay. So now we have to go back to the original amendment. All of those, the original motion, all those in favor of the motion now that it is amended? Okay. All right. Yes, Lori.
So just for the residents who are watching and those in the audience, the Security Committee has a meeting on Thursday. This is not on their agenda on Thursday, the disaster plan is, but we will ask them if they will hold a special meeting, because they only meet every other month. That would mean that they wouldn't meet again until June, and we think this is important. So we'll ask them to hold a special meeting. So watch the team up and know when that happens.
Well, I'm sure the residents don't all go to Team Up, so I'm sure that if we're having a special drone meeting, we will be announcing it all over the place, right? Right. Okay, so we're done with that one, and that's a good thing. And thank you for your comments, and thank you for thanking us. So now we have to number F. Are we ready for F?
Yeah, I noticed we got a handout here that we got
This is
something.
the,
Is that a change to what we got in our packet?
No, we'll talk about that.
Oh, okay.
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 So first, we need to have the motion.
You have to read it.
I am reading it, Madam Chairman. Whereas the board is obligated to manage, operate, and maintain housing for its mutual members as set forth in the declarations of convenants, conditions and restrictions, CCNRs, and whereas the board is obligated to review lease applications in accordance with its bylaws, CCNRs, and operating rules, whereas the package amendment resulted in clarified definitions, fees, charges, terms, conditions, and new procedures with an emphasis on select operating rules. Whereas this policy itemizes, consolidates, and addresses several areas in order to present one master document, facilitate member leases, and protect the corporation. Now, therefore be it resolved, June 20th, 2017, that the board of this corporation hereby approves the lease policy and resolve further that VMS is hereby directed to disseminate this information to the realty community serving Laguna Woods Village, and resolve further that this policy supersedes all existing leasing documents and shall be put into effect July 1st, 2017, and resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purpose of this resolution. I move.
I second.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second. Do we have any discussion by the board?
Yes, I would.
Yes.
I just want to talk about this a moment because this has been an item of a lot of questions, and I think it's important to realize why we did this. This was not an arbitrary decision. We formed a task force, and one of the reasons, and the major reason why we formed this task force, was to try and prevent and prohibit the breaking of some of our rules, and to try and gain control over who was coming into this community and how they were behaving. Because as a board, we were getting a lot of complaints about violations, some of them very serious, that were really upsetting the whole community, and particularly many of our residents. And this is one of the movements that we've taken, one of the actions that we're taking. And I think what we've done actually is reinforce a lot of the rules that were already on the table. And let me see if I can just find that so I can point it out to you. Well, the ones that we're looking at actually precedes this. And I think it's very important people understand what these rules are. Okay, if you look at page 10 of 23 and page 11 of 23, first of all, as part of this, the person who is leasing his manor gives up his ID card, his major ID card, to the resident. And the resident now has full responsibility, at least for living in that manor. The person or the landlord, the lessor, can not longer live in that manor while there is a renter present. And a lot of people don't realize it. Now, what we're setting up is a program, and this repeats it again, that the manor leases must be for a period of not less than 60 days. So you cannot rent a manor for less than 60 days. And leases that longer than 12 months have to be renewed annually, and no individual lease may exceed 12 months before being renewed. We know there are a lot of people here on long-term leases. That doesn't change it. We're just requiring, and it's already been a requirement, that it's been renewed annually. You get a parking space with the manor if you rent it, and you are entitled to that parking space. The owner is no longer entitled to it. And you can still invite guests, even as a renter. But guests, and this is a general rule in the community, may only stay here a total of 60 days during the year. So you cannot have a guest come here and just live with you for the rest of the year. And these are issues that are already here, rules that already exist, that we are really looking at and we are enforcing, thanks to our security, which is now really being beefed up, and as well as our compliance department. And you have to use your manor solely as a private residential dwelling. You cannot lease out, if you're leasing a manor, you cannot lease out rooms in that manor. And we know that a lot of these violations are occurring, and they're against the rules. And no person may reside in the manor, only those that are listed on the approved authorization to lease. So you must get an authorization, and we will help you with that. If you go down to resident services, we will indicate what you have to do, and you cannot conduct any business or other commercial venture in the manor, and you can't use VRBO. That you're running a business. If you're going to VRBO, you're probably in violation of 4 of our rules. So we are not encouraging that. And what we are encouraging is that renters get insurance. We strongly recommend that. And the thing we also want to stress is that the relationship is between VMS and the owner, not the person who is renting, not the lessee. So we want to keep that barrier. So what we are also requiring for the first time is that along with the copy of the lease, the owner gives us a criminal check and a credit check on the person he is renting to, or the persons he is renting to. Now, we had some questions about how easy is that to do. Actually, it's very easy. We've had a person from compliance, and we have a list of websites that you can go to where you can get instant feedback, an instant report that will give you the information you need in terms of criminal activity. It will cost you about $20 or less, and it's not a big problem. And we can give you that list if you are leasing your manor. And the same thing for credit checks. You can ask your renter just to go to TransUnion or one of these other sources and get a credit check, which can be done instantly. And in terms of renewal, we've changed that now. You have, if you're a long-term leaser, you only have to verify, again, the criminal background check every 5 years. So at the end of the 4th year, when you renew for the 5th year, you have to do this. So we're trying to make it less onerous. We want to work with the manor owner. We want to make sure that this is something that he can do, and we will encourage him to do that. And we think this will help resolve a lot of the problems we've had in the community. Thank you.
Bert, I have a question, maybe a discussion.
Wait. We have a motion to.
We had a motion and second.
We have a second.
Yes.
Okay, so now you can help.
Well, you know, in our CCNR, it states that anybody wants to live in our community has to be approved by the board of directors. Of course, in this case, in the leases, we give the authority to the owners. Now,
No, we don't give the authority.
so how we adapt our CCNR, I'm not violate the CCNR yet.
That's a
I
very
just,
good question.
yeah.
I think there's a pretty simple answer to it. Pamela Bashline is one of our representatives. Okay, so we have transferred authority for approving the leases to certain people in VMS who can do that. If there is a question, it can come before the board. Okay, and we always have the opportunity to try and resolve any problems related to leasing. So it's not always a black and white matter. We realize that. So if there are real issues, then the board can get involved.
Yeah, I guess what I meant to say is, since we're not giving up that authority, we are delegated to the staff,
Yeah.
but we should still have that reserve, the right to check on any of the leases.
I'll tell
to
you
make
what.
sure they.
James, we would be really happy for you to do that. So we can set up a policy where all leases have to go from Pamela to James.
No.
Well, I tried to come to a committee, I was denied for coming.
No,
So-
the basic thing is that if we have challenges with an owner where they're breaking a lot of the rules, you know how sometimes we had somebody in and we said, what, are you like subleasing rooms? He says, I have special deals. And it was like, wait a minute, we don't allow special deals. So, because he said money wasn't changing hands. Maybe they were, I don't know what the deal was. But the thing is if something becomes questionable, or if we have a unit where we get comments from the community that I think something's going on there, which we hear a lot, then we would talk to our staff and say, we would like to review the leases for unit blah, 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 2A. You know, so we want to give that authority to staff, but on questionable ones, it would come back, it would definitely come back to us. Yes, Bert?
Yes, do we not require the signature of 3 directors?
On leases?
On the
No.
leases, no?
No, no.
We're not
We'd
reviewing the
still-
leases?
No, we'd still be in there signing. As long as we follow most of the directors we sign sometimes, what is it, how many units do we sell a month?
Around 42.
40, so we have to approve paperwork for 42 units as it is, 3 directors have to, so we were not adding the leases. Only questionable challenge leases that staff has a question with, I don't know about this one or this then it would come to us, because I think it would be overwhelming, and the primary thing is it could cause a delay factor, and that is not what we would want to do. Yes, Bert?
We have a lease rate here of about, for third, of 28%, okay? And we have something like 6,000 manners. So if you roughly say a third are rented, that's 2,000. So we would be looking at 7 a day if we had to go process each one, assuming it was done daily, okay? The other thing I neglected to point out is the lease authorization application, which is part of the policy. It's in your book, in the agenda, but it's for the old lease policy. That hasn't changed, okay? So that's still the same, and you can see it, it's on page 61 of 65 under 6A, but also
Of last month.
here's what it looks like, and it's the same. It has not been changed.
So, okay, so we have a motion, the motion was seconded. We have a few questions. Do we have another question? Yes, Bill?
I have a comment, Bert. That 60-day guest policy, that's in a 12-month period,
Yes,
not a year.
annually, yes.
So if you rented for 30 days in September, And then
You can't rent for 30, it has to be 60. Oh,
60 days. You'd have.
total, if the guest was here for 30 days in September of 2016, and then they came in and tried to stay more than 30 days in early, like March, from March to April of 2017, they couldn't do it. They could only stay 30 days because that 12-month period is from September to September.
Right.
It's not for the entire for the entire year.
For the calendar year.
Yeah, calendar year.
okay.
Okay.
Good comment. All right, so now remember, this is on its 30-day notification, so it has to be postponed till June for this one.
Right.
So any comments that you have on this, please review this, they're always welcome. So please,
We can
having a
vote on
comment now, Ed? Okay.
Did you vote?
No, we didn't vote yet, so we're waiting for your comment. You have to comment before we vote, if you want to.
Ed McGill, 23902C. My problem with it, in talking to the leasees in my building, is the criminal background check and what it looks like appearance-wise, and whether, we're fulfilling our commitment to them as far as due process. Are we depriving them of their standing in the community? Because we're saying these people, not the 80% or the 24.7 that are leasing, they're the ones that are the problem. And again, like Bert was just saying, some of the things, smoking, breaking the rules, conduct problems, things that everyone here has probably seen owners do as well. But yet, it only applies to people that are leasing. And I know for a fact that more than one of the board members here, more than one, has leased here before they bought here. And we still have those that are doing that, one in our building. And what kind of a message does it send? Like, why us, not them? It's unnerving to me. I have a 92-year-old woman and an 86-year-old woman on the third floor that I'm prepping day by day a little bit, trying to tell them what's coming and why, because they've been hearing various things about the policy. And it's very difficult for them. One of them's been here 16 years. What are we talking about? I'm not going to do that. It's difficult for them to digest this and say, why are we being singled out? The one's a little bit sharper. It's a 92.
Okay, well,
Well, I'm sure
Go
Bert's
ahead,
going to say the same thing.
Well, first of all, I want to tell you, Ed, that I leased here for 8 years before I bought, okay? And we have nothing against renters per se. This is not designed essentially to discriminate against renters, all right?
No, I
We
understand
know,
that.
I have neighbors who are renters, they're long-term renters, they're outstanding citizens, and I'm sure they would have no hesitation to go through a criminal check. But the criminal check not only protects the community, it protects the lessor, the owner, okay? So we are asking that he do this, and it's mainly for his protection. Now, when you buy here, you have to sign a statement that you have not been convicted of a felony for, I don't know, I guess
20 years.
20?
20 years, yeah.
20 years, and also for any crimes of, involving
I'm aware of
sexual-
that also.
Okay, so that means that owners are also suspect, right? So we're not trying to pick on renters. And if there are special circumstances, we can handle that too. We don't want to
These are
accept.
on a continual 5-year basis. The owners are when they moved in. I'm not pointing fingers at that. What I'm trying to tell you is the people that are upset, some of the people in my building, one's a volunteer at the computer center, the other one's a volunteer at the hospital, and people that have been here for a while. And it all of a sudden looks like something's gone wrong. And I can't go back and tell them, yeah, well, it's people that have been smoking, have been behaving wrong. We need to get you to go and get an FBI check. I understand. I had one when I moved in, so I know what it is.
This is not an FBI check. You just
Well,
go
it's
on the
a
internet.
criminal check. A criminal check is a
background check,
federal.
yeah.
All right, I don't want.
No,
the
okay.
basic-
I'm sorry.
No, the basic thing is just as we did with the caretaker policy, when we said that there might be some different circumstances, if there is somebody in your building this is our policy, but you as the building captain want to come and not, certainly don't do it at the board meeting, but want to meet with the board or meet with Pam and say, these are, I would recommend, or we want to recommend, what could I do to possibly have this waived? It could be considered. This is not a dictatorship. All we're trying to do is protect the other residents and protect the owners. Some owners have no idea once they rent the unit what goes on. And then when we have to call them in for a hearing, they'll sit there and go, oh my goodness, I had no idea that the person who was renting was doing this, this, and this, and breaking this rule, and smoking, and fighting, or whatever. So we're trying, we're trying to protect the residents. The other thing is right now, we went to our legal counsel and we said, we don't want to renew the security process every year. What do we suggest? So we went to this end of 4 years, beginning of 5. The thing is the process could be moving along so well that before we get to the 5th year, the new board could decide to say that they don't want to renew it, or it doesn't have to be renewed, or let's change it to 10 years. So these
I understand all
okay,
that, I
so-
really do. You're missing the point. I'm not coming here complaining about that. Every leasee in my building, I have 15 owners and 9 leasees. I've talked to them all. They support the eviction of people who don't belong here. We're not fighting that at all. What we're saying is we're taking this one criminal background check, and what it really looks like is that, you know, it's them. You're marginalizing them. You're showing that these are the people we have to really ride herd on. Now, I know that God forbid that an owner should do something wrong, but we know that it happens, and there's policies for it, and almost impossible to evict them. But what I'm saying is, the call that I'm asking for, that's my first complaint. The second is, why can't we get rid of these people? I've been told people are here by security that are illegal leasers or subleasers and so forth, and then for them to say at any time, we know of them. Why are they still here then?
Well, that I could answer. We have probably 8 cases that are going on right now where we're dealt with security. And as I said, we had to change our legal counsel so that we have legal counsel who is more involved in this type of situation. So we're dealing with all of them. It isn't as easy as any of us would like it to be. And you just can't say to somebody, you're breaking all the rules, you have to leave now. So we're working on quite a number of them. So we are.
I understand. I understand that there are some that are in place, and Associate has some interesting rules you might want to check on in their facilities throughout the United States. Because I talked to 2 of them, not in California, and I know that they have basically a 3-strike type thing. It could be the state of California is more stringent as far as evictions. But there's policies that people could live with and know that they're going to be held accountable for. But I don't like the lack of due process in dealing with leasees and not telling them anything in advance as to why, when this thing passes, when will the next time they know what's going to happen to them when they go to release, when their lease is up and they go to renew? When do the owners, that was the next question I was going to ask, because I ran into an owner out in the parking lot. When is the owners going to be notified of what's going on?
Before the, when and if this is passed, then we would have to give the owners a good amount of notification to let them know this is our new procedure. And so it's not going to happen that this is a new thing and then all of the 2,000 renters get notified that they have to change it tomorrow. So we have to have a system which Pam is working on in place to give the owners notification.
I would seriously give thought to that restating the criminal part, because it just sends the stigma, not that group, this group every 5 years.
Okay, that's a very good point, and we will make sure that we address that again with our legal counsel.
Marty Lapata, 23981B. I'd like to inform the board, I listened very carefully to Ed, the problem that exists is that the owners are not professional renters. And many owners make these decisions without the knowledge of the laws of renting to tenants. And because they don't have this knowledge, they make decisions about people with less than perfect credit, with less than perfect backgrounds for criminal checks, and almost every property management company today is required to run a criminal background check on every tenant that they rent to. And because that goes on, essentially, the board is giving advice to the owners of how to protect themselves from improper rentals. And I think that's important to bring out. It's nothing personal. It's everybody is being checked now for criminal background check and
Okay.
credit.
Thank you, Marty.
Thank you.
Okay, whoever has their phone on, could they please turn it off? Okay, we have hearings and things scheduled at 1 o'clock, so we have an hour and 15 minutes to finish this entire meeting. So can we have a motion that was made and seconded? So all those in favor of the motion to approve the lease policy before it goes to our notification? Okay. But we will be looking into this further. So every time you make a comment, we always take it up right away, so we will. So thank you, Ed. All right, so the next item on the agenda is G, the collection and lien enforcement policy. It's not in here. Okay, so then we are going to postpone it till May because we don't even have it on here. So, okay. And this only had to do, it didn't have any change in our policy, it just had to do with the cable situation. So we're okay, we're going to go past it. New business. Bert, are you doing the new business, the motion to approve the carport? Okay. All right. Okay. So we are now up to item 13A.
This is an endorsement resolution here. Okay. Whereas Third Laguna Hills Mutual has administrative control over 14 carports throughout the mutual, and these carports have been rented to residents, and whereas the Residency Policies and Compliance Task Force has recommended amending the current carport rental fee and forms to allow other residents an opportunity to lease a carport space, and whereas the current rate was last increased on February 18, 1997, now therefore be it resolved May 9, 2017, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby amends the carport rental fee and renames it the Carport Use Agreement and Forms as attached to the official minutes of this meeting, and resolve further that effective January 1st, 2018, the annual fee will increase from $240 per year to $480 per year, that the fee be included in the mutual portion of the monetary fee schedule, and resolve further that resolution N39709 adopted February 18th, 1997, is hereby superseded and canceled, and resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution as written. I move.
Second? Okay. Any comments or discussion? Yes.
All right, it's administrative. There's just a couple things. Agenda items, the one that we're talking about, page 5 of 10, where it says number 1, where it says lessor hereby leases to lessee, and lessee hires from lessor. Shouldn't that be rents from lessor? It's really administrative stuff. I'm going back to the carport use agreement. I apologize. On page 5 of 10.
What
So if we're going to.
What paragraph?
Paragraph number, it's entitled numeral 1.
Yes, I see
And
it.
it says hires, I believe it should be rents. And then on paragraph number, I have 3 things. And then on paragraph number 2, just to add in the word SUV, because they designate automobile, station wagon, or golf cart. And I think it should say SUV, because we allow SUVs to park in there. And I don't know if that's a designation other than a car. So, because you singled out station wagon, so I just threw in SUV. And then this is, as I said, just administrative. The other one is page 7, number 14. Next to last sentence, it said, it starts with regardless of lessor's knowledge of such preceding breach, the time, it should be at the time of. Okay? Should be at.
What was the first one you said?
The first one, on number 1, you have the word hires, and it should be rents. You're not hiring the carport, you're renting the carport space. Okay? And then on number 2, SUV, and then number 3 should be at. Okay?
Okay, to clarify for the residents who don't know about this, going through our paperwork and going through our financial reports, we found that we have, is it 14? 14 parking spaces located in the community, like extra parking spaces, which people are allowed to rent. Now, probably the reason why it says station wagons and not SUVs is this policy has not been looked at for 20 years, which is why the rent went up from $20 a month to $40 a month, because no one has looked at this. Thank you, Steve Parsons is the one who found this on the financial report, because he was wondering where we were getting this little piddling amount of rent from. So there were a few rules. Number 1, anybody who rented this could rent it, but you could only rent 1 space, not 2. So we found that this has not been well done. Some people are renting 2 spaces. Some people aren't paying their rent. So we decided that we had to relook at this, have a policy about it, have the correct rate established, make sure that this goes on our list of rates that you would look at on a continual basis, and that's basically it. We're constantly told by Bert Baum, why are we spending so much time on this, because it's only 14 spaces. And I told him that if I could buy a space, I'd probably pay a few hundred a month, because that's how much a space would mean to some of us. So in any case, all that aside, this is what it's about. If you didn't know about it, we have the few little minor changes in here, little edits that have to be made. And if anybody has any comments other than Leslie, any board members have any comments? No? Okay, yes, Leslie.
I just wanted to state that in the resolution, it says May 19th, but it will actually be June 20th for the 30 days.
Okay.
So I apologize for that error.
That's fine. All right. Are we okay? So then all those in favor? Okay, one board member stepped out of the room and I can't vote for her. So you just have to, all right, so that's good, that's done. I wish if anybody else can find any parking spaces, let us know. All right, so the next item is, we're up to number 14, which is the Finance Committee. But before we got there, I was told that Bert Moldow is not feeling well, and I wanted to know if we would okay the moving up of the maintenance and architectural reports so that he could leave, or you're able to stay?
I'm going to stay.
Okay, because he wasn't in good shape at the beginning. All right, so then forget that. He's going to stay. So let's go to the Finance Committee. Everybody has like 5-10 minutes or 7 to do their reports.
Okay, thank you very much. Slide 1, please. Total revenue for Third Mutual through February 28th, 2017 was $5,556,000 compared to expenses of $3,989,000, resulting in more revenue than expense by $1,567,000. Slide 2, please. Now we look at the same results with a distinction between operating and funds. This chart shows how much of our revenue went into operations, with $3,073,000 coming in from assessments and $176,000 coming in from other sources, such as the annual golf cart electric fee. This is compared to operating expenditures of $2,851,000. After backing out depreciation, which is not funded through operations, we can see that the bottom line we had an operating surplus of $423,000 as of this reporting period. Slide 3, please. This chart shows how much of our revenue went into our reserve funds and the amount expended to date. I'll let you look at that for a second. Slide 4, please. With a favorable bottom line of $1,567,000 compared to a budget of $599,000, Third has better than budget by $969,000, primarily due to the following areas. Time of reserve expenditures. Favorable variance in outside services of $813,000 resulted from fewer reserve expenditures for building structures, roofs, and elevator replacements. Timing of material and supplies purchases for paint. And lastly, timing of audit fee. Payment was made in March and April, and they will be recorded as the same. Slide 5, please. On this pie chart, we show the operating expenses to date of $3.98 million by category, showing that our largest categories of expenses are for compensation and utilities. When compared to total expenditures, compensation and related costs look like a higher percentage of the total than previous reports due to the effects of the accrual reversals and timing of invoices for outside services. Also, you might have noted in previous months, the past two, that the pie chart showed much more as relating to the compensation and the payment to our employees. So now it's starting to even out, and you'll see it better even out even in the future. Okay, slide 6. The reserve balances on January 2017 were just over $25 million. Contributions to reserve, including assessments and interest earnings, totaled $2.3 million, while expenditures to date total just over $1.1 million. Okay, if you take away the slides, please. In closed session, we reviewed delinquencies and unpaid assessments totaling $362,692, which represents about 1.2% of the annual assessment of budget. Since we have new council now and they are reviewing cases dealing with collections and assessments, things like that, we look forward to this amount coming down significantly, as they have much experience in the area of collections, even working with real estate agencies and with mortgagees, such as banks and things like that. So we look forward to more things happening there. Moving on, people have been interested in earthquake insurance for the community. I'm leading a task force looking at that, and looking at the good to the community and delivering due diligence. We have had several meetings in this area. We thought that we had it pretty well nailed down as to the benefit we'd receive by having this insurance. Except at our last meeting, we found a plethora of other questions that came forward that we don't have answers on. So starting next week, we'll be working with the brokers in Atlanta and the insurance companies that will be covering us if we so choose to take the policy and get answers to these questions. And in the first week of June, we plan on having a teleconference with financial type people as well as our technical people, some of them here on the board, to actually nail down under what cases payments can be made, for instance. What is covered, what isn't? Is it only on a 250-year cycle we can claim this, or is it a 100-year? So there's a lot of questions that we still have to deal with out there, and we are getting to the bottom of them, but it's going to take us another month to get to that point. Okay, moving on to monthly resale report. Totally throughout the village during the month of March, there were 80 units sold as compared to 89 last year. The monthly average is 73 compared to 79 a year ago, but the average resale price throughout the entire community has gone up from $271,000 last year this time to $303,000 this year. Some of that is dependent upon the models that are sold and the modifications made to them and so forth. So we are on an upward trend. Dealing with Third Mutual solely, we had 42 sold this month compared to 44 last year in 2016. So the average resale price has gone up from $249.7 thousand last year to $365.5 thousand this year, which is an increase of 4.5%. Still continuing on with this, during the month of March, total sales volume was $15,185.8 thousand compared to $14,408 thousand last year. So our dealing with the monthly average, we have increased 8.7% over last year. And average resale price has gone up 4.5%, which we are definitely on an uphill swing. One last thing I would like to mention is that the amount of rentals or leases this year, and I'll get to the page here, totals 27.4%. That's in leases alone in Third. And the last item I want to talk about is the budget calendar, and it's in the handouts of everybody that is here. Intensely, we will be hitting this for 2018 budget in May. There's lots of things happening in May. There will be some things happening before that that are not here, but the board is aware of this, and we'll be taking proper action on that to meet our deadline that's printed on this schedule.
I have a question. I better get close here. So these meetings that you have noticed here, which are excellent, how are we going to, Lori, are we going to let the community know when the budget meetings are happening? Because these are generally open meetings. And when, if we're saying, if we look at this, that most of the meetings more or less start in May, correct? So when are we going to let put the dates out there?
I think this is final, but let me check with Betty, and if it is, we could put it in the blast and also make sure they're all on T-Mobile.
I think it's probably something that's probably good in the breeze.
And in the breeze.
Because that would be, like next month's edition would be a good, and it's a for everybody thing, because it's the budgets for all of the boards and for GRF, but it's just a good thing. I'm staring at Lynn now. A good thing for the people to know so that they could be interested and start and come to those meetings. So can we make sure that?
We will.
Yeah, one last thing on that. For the meetings in May, we have down here the locations of boardrooms. If that's in question, can we just put a question mark?
We will.
Okay.
We're not meeting in the boardroom in May.
Obviously, because there's no board meeting room, which is what he meant.
Right. GRF's meeting is the first one, so we'll make sure we find alternative locations for those.
Thank you.
Okay, and the last thing, you were going to say something about the audit, or did you? Was I snapping?
On the audit?
Yeah.
Completed by KPMG.
Right.
Yes, we met last week. We got an out brief on it. The advisors to the Finance Committee and I met also last week with our representative, Jim Taylor, and we are going through his notes. We are formulating a list of things we would like to see in the future, and those will be brought up to the Finance Committee, to the board for consideration.
Excellent. Thank you. All right. So the next item on the list is the report of the Landscape Committee, and we do have to address 5241 Elvira during your,
Yes.
And
John, you wanna restate your concerns, so we will discuss?
5241 was reviewed by the Landscape Committee, and the tree roots had the potential to damage the manor. So that issue is clearly, the removal of the tree is clearly within their prerogative. However, they're also recommending removal of the wall and relocating the retaining wall, and I believe that is clearly within the purview of the Architectural Committee and not the Landscape Committee. And that's why I think that that issue has to be reviewed by the Architectural Committee.
Yeah, also because of, we pending on the Architectural Committee to review that and let us know their decision. However, they have not reviewed that yet, so we don't have the answer. Therefore, I think we'll just postpone to another month before we approve this one.
okay, so you want to then, because we remove this from the consent calendar, so what you want to do is you want to do a motion to delay this until next
Until the June meeting,
June meeting?
yes,
Till June.
because we canceled the May meeting.
Until the Architectural
Yeah, until they
Committee has
review
an
it.
opportunity to review
Right.
the issue.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have that motion. Does anyone want to second it?
I
I mean,
second.
you made the motion.
Well, then he seconded it.
All right. I seconded. And that seconded it.
Okay.
All right, so we have a motion to second, and it's seconded. All those in favor? Okay. Are the residents going to be, we're going to be satisfied delaying that till June? I guess.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And the architecture will be able to get it
Yeah,
done by then?
because we
All right.
tell them,
Okay.
painting on them, they have not reviewed.
Okay, excellent. So now do you want to give the rest of your landscape report?
Yes.
5 minutes.
Okay, landscape. Well, I want to emphasize that the landscape department is doing a lot of things, but our resident may not aware of that work because the top priority is now, we are in April, in May, June, July, summer coming very soon. So the top priority is we have to take care the western side of our community of those slopes, outside slopes that belongs to Orange County Fire Authority. We have to make sure that we clean those up before the summer comes, the fire start, because 2 years ago, the Laguna Beach had a fire, and a fire authority think that our western slope become not the initiator of the fire, but can be a brush to our site. So that's what our landscape is the top priority to do it. That's the most important factor. But in addition to that, on gate 14, also the slope has animal problems. That's what staff is also work on gate 14 slopes. Now, Channel 6, please show the picture of, some of your residents may have the director, you have the pictures of, first one is before the cleaning up. You can see how very much bushes and fire very easily to occur there. And after the second, the third is after the cleaning, then it will be much safer. That's the top priority. But they're on the outside of a community slope, facing outside. That's why you don't feel it. But that's why we want to tell you, our landscape is not just, lazy. They're busy on work. Okay. Second big project is the turf reduction convert to a ground cover. Again, I don't have a picture to show you, but Channel 6, please, I have slides can show on the TV that was my yard before conversion and after the conversion. I hope most residents like that new ground cover greens. Therefore, we encouraging residents to do the conversion. The advantage of ground cover is, one, you save some water. Two, once you convert to ground cover, you don't need mold anymore. Therefore, save labor and the noise. That's what we, so far, because Gate 11, Gate 14 are the two gate area without recycled water in irrigation. That's why we emphasize on those two gate area. So if you are in Gate 11, 14, please, go make a request to landscape that ask for conversion. So far, we have over 180 requests. We have 30 of them done complete and another 35 in progress. I think this is for the landscape. Shall I continue?
That's it? Okay, well, good, you made it in time, thank you.
Can I add one more thing, just as a reminder? James, apparently, and maybe we can have staff do this, the neighborhood awareness form between the architectural requests for changes and landscaping requests from neighbors, they may not be in sync. So I understand staff is going to look into that. Just to let you know, you may want to get involved in that and in those two documents. They may be exactly word for word.
Are you talking about the ground cover conversions?
I'm talking about, no, I'm talking about neighborhood awareness form. If I want to take a tree out, I've got to go ask my neighbors if it's okay with them to take the tree out.
Okay, I'll remind the landscape staffs.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah, well, for the ground cover, the reason why more than 100 of them are still in the planning stage is because the landscape, well, first is the owner made a request, but then the landscape need to go to all the neighbors, make sure neighbors agree you can convert to ground cover before they actually start work. That's why we call the planning stage.
We had a meeting with the landscape department the other day, and and it was Steve, myself, and James, and we were talking about what our plans are for next year. I thought it was very interesting when Kurt went over the 3 different levels of activity, what they're doing with the slopes, because I was concerned, or residents were concerned, that they were doing too much slope work at Gate 14, and were we wasting money? So we asked Kurt to put together an article for next month's newsletter regarding what they're doing for the slopes, just a brief article. And he also said that he was going to put together a very brief article on when you think you should be reporting a sprinkler problem. Which is very significant also, because sometimes you could go outside at night now that the sprinklers are on, and like the entire street looks like it's been watered. And he said it could be timing, it could be or the heads are facing the wrong way. So he said he was going to put some information together also on that. So Lori, this is for you to follow up on those two. But I think that that's very important for the residents in education.
Yes.
So it was a good meeting.
Yeah, well, because of that meeting, I began to realize a lot of things we're doing, even our president is not aware of. So from now on, I have to cover a little bit more in the board meeting and with more pictures. Now, one more thing I want to add is third project.
Which president? John,
the president of Third Mutual.
Oh, I didn't know which one you mean. Trump, I didn't know.
Well, one more thing I want to add is we have a third project we call the pilot ground soil sensors pilot project that our director, Bunny, has been spent a lot of time review that the contract, and finally is agreed by both sides. And so it's been also has been signed by both sides. So that project is going to start very soon. Hopefully before the end of this month, because what do we want to test? Again, this is the Gate 11, Gate 14 area. We want to see how much water we can see, we can save by putting actual sensor into the soil. And there's no cost to us. And if we save some money and the vendor asks for a small percentage of the water bill we saved. So until then, we'll find out.
Okay, so thank you very much. Now, before you go into the saving of money on water, we have staff members in here who want to talk about energy, so is it okay if we let them go next?
Sure.
All right, so we're going to head on to energy. So, Bill?
You want me to take it over here?
Yep.
I'm going to talk about three things. Actually, I'm going to talk about one thing, but we're going to talk about three things. The first thing I want to talk about is to let everybody know that a week from today at 10 a.m. in the Cypress Room in the administration building, we are going to have an open meeting to discuss the purchase of the streetlights from Southern California Edison. So anybody who wants to come down and hear all about this, please come down and visit us. The other two items are, one, the status of the replacement of, the implementation of LED lights in three-story buildings. We get a status on that from Mark Stahl. And the second thing is that we're going to get a status on the solar project. So I would invite Ernesto and Mark and one or both to come up and talk to us.
But you have a limited amount of time.
Very good. I'll go fast. I want to talk a little bit about the update on the solar project. As you know, we're all under contract with Solar Optimum to provide a fully delivered system to offset our energy costs within the mutual. We've submitted applications for all of our facilities. There are 12 facilities in total, and during the application process, we found that some of the transformers that are located at these facilities are inadequate to handle the loads that are being put at these locations. So in order to get past that issue, we've worked with Solar Optimum, our staff. Mark Stahl has done a fantastic job in evaluating alternatives as to how to deal with this. One of the alternatives, the initial alternative that we considered, was purchasing the transformers from Cal Edison. What we found is that they will not allow us to purchase the transformers ourselves and do the installation ourselves. We have to go through them, and the prices for those transformers are very high relative to what we could get out if we went out ourselves to get them. And in addition to that, they also require that we enter into an agreement with them to put money into a fund in perpetuity so that we can replace those transformers on a 20-year cycle. So they're not only making us pay for the transformers that we own, but they're also making us pay to replace those transformers on a 20-year cycle, which is beyond me. So that was one of the alternatives that we looked at. Obviously, that's not a good alternative because of the costs associated with it and the ongoing costs to replace those transformers. So we looked at a number of other things that we could do. We looked at possibly using 480 voltage that we have at some of these facilities. That was not possible because there were issues associated with our inverters, and we will have to replace those inverters, so that turned out to be a very costly undertaking. We also looked at, there were actually 5 facilities that were found to be inadequate because of transformers, but Mark, working with Solar Optimum, looked at this facilities a little bit closer, and were able to ask Edison to interconnect differently than the way we were interconnected before. And in that manner, we're able to get some of those facilities on board. So there was 3 facilities that are left to be done. And the alternatives that we're considering at this point are to trench from those buildings to other buildings that have adequate capacity, that have transformers with adequate capacity to be able to handle that. That seems to be the least expensive alternative. So we're pursuing that at this point. We're obtain estimates from contractors to do the trenching. We'll also discuss the price with Solar Optimum to do that. We have not presented those figures to the Energy Committee as yet because we want to negotiate or have a discussion with Solar Optimum because we feel that they're partly responsible for the situation we're in right now. So we want to, once we have the discussion with them, we'll put the figures together and we'll bring them to the Energy Committee so that they can weigh in. At this point, we're moving forward in that direction until we hear otherwise. This is kind of it dovetails with the resolution that you have before you today. We feel that the $250,000 will be, it's well within the ballpark of what we may need to get past this issue and get PTO and the rest of our facilities. So with that, I have any questions?
Yeah. We know that July 1 is a deadline for net metering. Where do we stand with the possibility of meeting that date?
We are very hopeful that we can meet that. I cannot give you anything with certainty at this point. One of the concerns that we have is that as we transfer loads to other facilities, as you know, those facilities have already PTOs on them. We've received permission to operate on those facilities. So we're also concerned, and we've asked a question as to what if those PTOs will be affected. So there's a lot of moving parts to this, but obviously our concern and our charge is going to be to try to get this in before the rates change.
Yeah, Ernesto, I just want to clarify for people watching on television and people in the room here that 8 of the 12 buildings have been given permission to operate and they are generating electricity. We have a 9th building. The last I heard 2 weeks ago was that it had passed technical review. I have never been informed whether we got permission to operate on that 9th building. And so we're talking about 3 buildings that we have to trench for to get the electricity off the rooftop into a transformer that is acceptable to Southern California Edison.
3 buildings.
Yeah, did I say 3? Didn't I say 3?
You did.
3, yeah, 3 buildings. And so just so everybody understands, and we, Bert Moldau and I and you and staff are going to meet with Southern California Edison representatives next Monday. And we're going to bring up, I'm going to bring up the fact that we don't, of the stonewalling that we got regarding giving us and Solar Optimum information about the transformers we targeted. The fact that they wouldn't give us the capacities, and they still, even as recently as 6 weeks ago, only relented to give us meters around a transformer, and Mark had to do a lot of work figuring out what those capacities were. So I think people in the community should know that we've had some real bumps with Southern California Edison in this.
Thank you very much for saying that, Bill, because whenever I hear any of the dialogue about the energy things, I always just say to myself, why is this taking so long? And the basic thing is we know that it isn't because staff is taking so long, that we are met with challenges or bumps or bigger than that along the road consistently by Southern California Edison. And that's what's making this go on forever. And it's really a terrible thing. And unfortunately, we have no control over them, though we are trying to be more and more forceful. Is that correct?
That is correct, and we're very hopeful that we're getting to a solution. Now the charge is to obviously make it as cost-effective as possible, get within the rates that we wanted to get.
And get it done.
Just get it done, yeah.
Okay.
And I just want to say thank you and thank Mark, both of you. I know you're working hard on this, and we appreciate it. We really do.
Did you have something, Bert, because our time's up?
Just the community should be well aware that we're not alone with our problems with SCE. United is having absolute grief. They've already gotten PTO, and they're still not operational because of an issue where SCE used the wrong wire coming from their transformers to the meter.
Right. Rosemary, would this be a good time just to go ahead and read the resolution for the supplemental?
Absolutely, because I gave this over to you.
Okay. I'll have Bert read it.
Yeah. Whereas Southern California Edison deemed the existing transformers serving the third mutual solar project insufficient to handle the projected loads, whereas successful connection of the third solar project to the Southern California Edison electrical grid requires additional work, including trenching between buildings and electrical modifications. Now therefore be it resolved, April 18, 2017, that the Board of Directors hereby approves a supplemental appropriation of $250,000 to be funded from the unappropriated expenditures fund for the purpose of completing the Third Mutual Solar project requirements, and resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purpose of this resolution. I so move.
I second.
It is supposed to say of not to exceed $250,000. That's what we voted on at Finance, and it's always good to put that in there. So do we have to amend that to put that in there? Can we
Motion that we amend.
amend the motion to just add the lines not to exceed $250,000? Second, okay. So, or can everyone vote on the amended motion? All those in favor? Okay. And then we have to go back to the original motion. Do all those in favor of the original motion? All right. I still have to do that better. Okay, so all right, so that is done. So you have the not to exceed amount, and I know you're going to get it done. All right, thank you. So do you have anything else to say on energy before we just move back to James?
No, I think that's enough. Thank you.
Thank you. Are you working on your budgeted numbers for next year, what you need?
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that.
All right, good. Okay.
The answer is yes.
Okay, good. So now we're going to go back to the Water Committee.
Well, this time, I work a little bit sooner, so you have 3 slides in your board package. The first one showing that we always chased tracking the total water usage, higher tiers. You can see because of the November, December, January, February, we have heavy rains. Therefore, we don't have any irrigation higher tier water bill. Therefore, our total higher tier water bill just remain in the low 2,000 and 1,000 level. So that's much better than 2 years ago over the monthly, like over $10,000. Now, looking the slide 2, the item 16, 2 out of 3, that's what exactly we're doing. Every month when we get the water bill, and I will resort the water bill in terms of Tier 4 with the top user at the top. And now you can see that, let's concentrate on the first 5. The building 3526, 2244, 3278, 3383, and 2223. Now, if you scoop to the slide 3, page 3, this is tracking from October last year to February this year in a vertical column. Now, if you look at the under 2017, the last column, Tier 4, you can see that 3526, 3278 are the brand new high users. Now, well, as Jules and I, we sometimes, helping the staff, we actually visiting some of those high user manors or buildings. So I visited the 3526. You can see it in the month of February. It's got 43 units of Tier 4. That's quite a bit than before. Then you can look at the previous months. It's all zeros. So this is something happened suddenly. Well, let me quickly say it. What happened is 2 years ago, Jim Mattson and I, we went to visiting this Manor, 3526 Unit A. There's no one lives there, but yet one toilet just keep running. So we called the security, opened the door, we shut off the water. Since then, since nobody lives there, so there's no water being used. That's why all are zero. But somehow, some maybe cleaning lady went there last month in January, so the leak can start again. Fortunately, I know that building, so with the corporation help from Mark and Pamela from compliance department, she called the owner, and owner finally agreed, who lives in Northern California, agreed to pay for replace a new toilet. So with the Mark's help, I assume that's being done. So that solving the problem. See, only 1 month leaking 43 unit, we stopped that leaking. So that's the effort from plumbing division, Mark. And there's 2 other building they're working on. So the number 4, number 5, 3383, 2223, they both have the staff find the leaking. Also, I want to point out the building 2295. Actually, if you look at the January records, that is the highest water usage, tier 4. But because the staff already find out the leaking fixed the problem, so that almost disappeared from a high tier. And we want to thank the plumbing division or Mark helping us solving those leaking problems. And thank you.
All right. Again, we have less than 30 minutes left. So I'm going to ask, I know that this is a little odd, I'm going to ask Bert Baum to do his 2 reports, which are 21 and 22, so he can go over the community center and meet with our attorney, so our attorney isn't there wandering around. And
This is easy.
so good, thank you.
The Communications Committee didn't meet. The last meeting we had was end of February.
But your next meeting is
The next meeting is this Monday
at 1:30
at 1:30
in the Cypress Room.
Cypress.
Okay. And the Residency Policy and Compliance Task Force?
I think we beat that to death with the lease policy.
Okay.
We're now looking at guests. That's next on the list.
As what?
Guests.
Yes. Okay. All right, so thank you very much, Bert.
You're welcome.
So you can leave whenever you want.
Thank you. I'm leaving now.
Because we don't want, because he has some things he could discuss with her. So the next item on the list is number 17, the Maintenance and Construction Committee. You have nothing to say.
That one is just as easy, okay? There was no meeting this month. M&C did not meet. The next meeting will be held May 2nd at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
And where is it going to be?
I do not have a room right now.
Okay, but that's very important for people to attend that meeting, because there's always a lot of important things going on. I'd like to know what's happening with the waistline program, because we signed the contract, so as it started, and any updates that they have on work that they're doing with the Garden Villas, and hopefully getting the minutes from the Rec Room Committee meeting, and things like that. So that's very important. Okay, so that's that. All right, so now number 18, the Architectural Control and Standards Committee. Okay.
Okay. Architecture Control and Standards Committee, we are in the process of talking to the lawyers with regard to the use of common area. It is quite a problem for the committee, which we're trying to allow for the committee to decide whether or not common area can be assigned exclusive use. There are certainly certain instances within our community where the common area appears to be exclusive use but was not designated as such in the original architectural drawings. So we have this basically legal problem where we do not have, based upon the CC&R's latitude, it says that you have to go to the community for approval. Okay. Actually, The CCNRs, there are actually like 59 different CCNRs, because when Third Mutual was formed through the merger of a lot of smaller HOAs, okay, there was no single consolidated CCNR,
Which we're working on.
which we are going to be working on, and that's the future. So a lot is in the works right now. But meanwhile, we've got this legal issue that has to be addressed. So we will be talking to the lawyer to see just how much latitude. The committee as a whole, I mean, no resistance whatsoever, feels that one of our obligations are to try to allow owners to enhance their property and their units where it does not impinge on the rights and privileges of neighbors, okay? And basically increase the value of their property, which overall will increase the value of property in Laguna Woods. So we're doing our best in that area.
Okay.
As part of that process, we had hoped to bring forth, rework 3 documents. One was a common area usage agreement. One was a decision tree, which defined how the decision would be reached by the committee regarding whether or not the area should be assigned, and a neighborhood awareness form. We thought that we had the approval of the lawyers on all 3 documents, but suddenly we were notified that the decision tree was being marked up and would be approved by the lawyer sometime later. So in the interim, we have 2 documents that we're seeking approval on. That is the common usage area agreement and the neighborhood awareness form.
So do you want to make a motion asking for approval of those 2 documents?
Absolutely. I so move.
I'll second.
Okay, so has everyone here reviewed the common area use agreement and the neighbor awareness form, and which has been in your packet? Remember, you shouldn't vote for this unless you have reviewed it and are comfortable with it. So this isn't a test. This is, you're not going to get what is on page 6. No, but it's important when we vote for something. And then does this have a time limit on it? Do we have to put 30 days on it, or?
No.
No.
Because they're
These are endorsements.
They're endorsements. Okay, so,
Do you want to take them separate?
I need to discuss.
well, I'm going to let you discuss it. So, yes, Annette.
Okay, Bert, I believe that when we were last at the Architectural Control Committee meeting, that looking at the Neighborhood Awareness Form Guidelines, which is Agenda Item 18A, page 21 of 21, I thought originally we had spoken about the fact that VMS was going to send out this form for the neighborhood awareness. And when you look at this form here for signatures of all neighborhood affected by this application, in the form that you're asking us to approve today, basically, it's the neighbor that's going to do it.
Right, and so what happened is this packet went out before the architectural committee met, and so the old
Okay, so
forms in here.
therefore, we
But
can't vote on this because this
No, we
is not
can't.
correct.
But we can correct it verbally.
You know, that's very sloppy,
Okay.
Okay.
unless you want to do it in that way. But I don't understand why.
I don't think so.
All right, so we're going to go back on that one. The neighbor awareness form has to be addressed. What about the common use agreement? Have you reviewed that, Annette?
That has been totally unchanged.
Yes, I did, and I got the decision tree, hold on.
No, the decision tree is
No,
not
I know,
going
I'm going
now.
over my notes right now. Common use, anybody get me to a page?
We can actually delay that since we can't move ahead.
Yeah, let's just delay the whole package.
Delay the
Okay,
whole
so
package.
we need a motion that this is delayed to our next meeting. By our next meeting, because the decision tree is all marked up, the neighbor awareness form can be corrected.
It has been correct.
Well,
No,
no,
it
it's
hasn't
going to
been.
be
Not
correct.
here, correct.
Yeah,
Right.
all right. So we will have it on our, so you want to make a
So we'll defer
motion?
this till the next meeting.
And the next meeting is when? Leslie, do you know when the next, should say it here?
The next board meeting?
Yes.
Is May
May
19th.
16th.
When?
May, what is May 2 is on
I'm
the,
sorry, May 16th.
May 16th, yeah.
May 16th.
Okay, so your motion is to
Delay
delay
till May 16th.
the architectural, to the motion to approve on these items until our next board meeting of May 16th. Do I have a second? Okay, we have a whole bunch of seconds over there, pick one. All right, all those in favor? Okay, that's good. All right, so we did energy and technology already. So traffic hearings, John?
We had 7 tickets, 7 violations, 3 for parking, 3 for stop signs, and 1 for speeding, all of which were found guilty.
Okay.
End of report.
Thank you. And we have therefore, the next thing is the GRF committee highlights. This is if you are on a GRF committee, which all of you are, if you had any meeting this month and you want to report on it. So for example, if there was a CAC meeting last month, you would be reporting on it, but there was none. If any other, but there is a meeting coming up this week. So there was no finance meeting, Bill, there's no energy. Was there any landscape meeting?
There wasn't.
James?
There was, yes, but nothing
No, I
was
said
important.
energy. I didn't say MSC. I didn't get up to you yet. Was there an M&C meeting?
Yes, there was an M&C meeting. Perhaps the highlight of that meeting had to do with the pickleball courts. The committee, with 2 votes against, 1 being mine, approved to go ahead with the first phase of pickleball at Gate 12.
Okay, is that it?
That's it.
Which involved the creation of a committee, an ad hoc committee for the Performing Arts Center.
All right. Bunny, you have anything?
Well, since Bert isn't here, but the GRF communications meeting
Was
yesterday, and the highlight mainly is broadband, and coming up with a resolution to be able to determine how they handle their contracts.
Okay, and I heard you did an excellent job. Okay, so that's it. So now we have had director comments from the committee meetings. Please make sure that you look at the calendar to see when the meetings are, so, because they changed the CAC meeting, so it's next week, as opposed to the regularly scheduled meeting. And if we don't have enough representation of it, we just don't, because we're too tied up at meetings, and they changed it without even asking any input from us. So, because we have our executive hearings on Tuesday, and a number of board members are going to be missing. So, in any case, now it's time for director comments, and then we get to go. So I'm going to start with Bunny.
Nothing?
John?
Nothing to offer.
Nothing.
Nothing.
You're
Nothing.
leaving tomorrow for a month?
Yeah,
Have fun and be
I
safe.
try to forget everything here.
Okay. Bill?
Nothing.
Nothing.
All right, thank you all very,
I'm sorry, I have 2 follow-up things that you asked me to check on. One is the Maintenance and Construction, 3rd Maintenance and Construction Committee meeting is May 1st in Spruce at 1 p.m. in
Okay.
Spruce. And the second is, you do not have to put what gate your guest is coming in, and they can go in any gate. And that's something that we'll be talking to the chief about, if that's something we want to regulate or
okay,
not.
then there's another thing, though. You handed out this in-home bulky item collection thing, and this says that you can call for pickup up to 2 times a year. Brad made it sound like you could call every day.
Yeah.
And I think we have to re-emphasize this, because otherwise our prices are going to go up. So we twice, that's what this says. This doesn't have to do with the outside bulky item pickup. It has to do with in-home up to 2 times, up to.
But I did want to add, like, when you have bulky items, they do take, like, old Christmas trees, they take skis, they take everything.
They do.
Which is wonderful.
So, and all that, thank you all very much. Thank you for your hard work, and thank you. This meeting is adjourned.